Liv, give it to me. You want to hold it, please, real quick for me? Thanks, babe. Thanks, babe. What is going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. We got a packed show for you tonight. A lot going on. A whole lot of nothing going on at the same time. Really kind of weird, but we'll explain it to you. Leeroy is in the house. Olivia is in the house tonight. She's missed a couple nights. Decided to come on and grace us with her presence. Been a while since Leeroy, Olivia, and I have all been on, so it'll be nice to have all of us together. Isn't that special?
It's special, all right. How's
You're
everyone
hot,
doing?
dude. You're so hot.
I literally touched nothing.
I know, but you actually talk normal, so turn it down. What you do is you do a test and you lower your voice. You shouldn't. Do a test, talk as loud as you're going to.
How's that? Is that better?
No.
Okay.
And talk normal when you do.
Check 1, 2. How's that?
Little hot, but we'll see how it goes throughout the rest of the show. Sorry about that, buddy. JFK Effect. We're going to talk about it and why it applies today. The Epstein nothing burger. Karoline Levitt kicked off CNN. Gene Hackman, strange updates. Comey admits entrapment. And make this census of thisis. It'll all be explained.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me Show, otherwise known as The Dumb Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The Dumb Show on social media or thedumbshow.com.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Leeroy Jenkins to my right.
How's it going, folks?
Olivia to the left.
Hola.
And we're trying to get Olivia in focus here. Did they move your camera, baby?
I guarantee they moved my camera.
Can you get one of the kids, please?
Yep.
Hey, dinner, Ethan!
We didn't check that, did we?
Not mine.
It is what it is. Sorry, folks. We're going to have a delay here.
Maybe the house.
Because my camera's screwed up, too.
Yeah.
Because mine's way too low. Mom's camera, spin it to the left, please. And, yep, pull it back a little bit, please. No, push it forward a little bit. Sorry. Okay, hold on. Oh, man, they fucked it up. It's wrong. It's so wrong. Liv, what needs to happen is it needs to tilt back. So Ethan, wait, Liv, can you just stand up and do it? You know how to do it. And I'll tell you when to put it. Thanks, E. Jump out of the way, bud. Sorry, folks. It was we had to pick up the daughter. So Liv, you're just gonna drop it back straight. No, don't move it. What? Remember what I said? Did you hear me at all? Yeah. Look at me. We're doing this to the camera. Camera's got to fall back. That's all it's got to do. It's got to fall back 1/4 of an inch. A little more. Tad more. Stop. Stick it. Atta girl. No, just stick it. No, push it down, push it down, push it down. Stop. Stick it. It doesn't need to focus. Livy, just trust me, okay? Hey, let me run the show. Pound it. Cool. See? I'm the video and audio guy. You're the talent, and you look hot. That's what we do. Cool. Let me see it. Look at that. Everyone's on the right height. This is how it works, folks. Let me get you zoomed in. Liv, look straight up. Look at me real quick. Got to get you zoomed in, honey. Got to stop moving, baby. Baby, stop moving. Thank you. Looking good, looking good. Leeroy, looking good. Everybody's looking good. See, that's how it works. We learned a long time ago when we started doing this show, in order for Olivia and I to get along, and Leeroy was a part of many conversations that did not go well before the show would start, is Olivia just has to let me do the video and audio. And when we do that, everything works out perfect. You look gorgeous, by the way. Are you ready? Are you situated?
Yes.
Awesome. Leeroy, are you ready and situated, buddy?
I am ready.
Oh, should be a fun show. Got a lot going on. There's a lot.
Not all the good news, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot going on, but nothing really important, if that makes sense. So we're gonna go over it. Olivia, strike a pose. Eileen says.
Strike a pose?
Yeah, like Vogue. Vogue. Strike it. What the fuck?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I did any modeling.
Well, you're a model every day, whether you want to or not. You always.
But that's about it.
What did you say?
I said your model, but that's about it.
That's really all I need you to be.
Yeah.
So, all right. We're doing. Y'all look good. Thanks. We appreciate it. See, and it all worked out. Let's do this. We've been doing kind of something a little bit interesting. Is we're starting off with starting a segment before we get into the donations and the books and all that stuff that we sell. So this is the easiest way to do it, is to kind of just get right into it. I don't know why Facebook isn't showing up. We've got a ton of people on already. We're at 183 plus I think 60 on the other channels. So with no further ado, let's get started. We'll do a little overtime, I guess, and start off with that. Because we've got some things to talk about that are, the blocks, which we do A block through F. And then occasionally we bring up some other stuff that really isn't booked, but it's fun to talk about, and we try to have a conversation about it. Yeah. Did everyone have a chance to hear about the show that we did a couple nights ago? Well, it's about 2 weeks ago, Leeroy, you and I did about JFK. About 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
I think
so.
That's all right.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about, and I kind of scratched the surface last night before we got some phone calls, is that I've been really diving back into the JFK assassination, and I just finished a book today called Crossfire. I started it yesterday at 2:00, and I think about 2.5 hours I read it. It was about 900 pages, and
damn.
The thing about me reading is that I I when I read, I don't see the words the, in, to, no prepositions. I really only read words that are 4 to 5 letters and above. And I can fill in the blanks. And that's how I read. So when I'm reading a sentence, I probably, out of 7 to 10 words, I only read 4 or 5 and I get the contents of the sentence. And normally that's a bad thing. But if your reading comprehension is good, then you're set. And my reading comprehension, along with speed reading, it falls around 96, 97%. It's probably dropped a little bit since I've been younger, but being tested on it, I can read really fast and consume a lot of information. And now, and since it's the Kennedy assassination, I even skip the names because I know who they're talking about because I've read so much on it. So I spent some time reading his book called Crossfire, and it really was just from start to finish the connective tissue of the day. Everyone in Dealey Plaza, all the witnesses, started it from start to finish. And the one thing that I realized is then I put the book away, and then I took out the 14,000 pages that were just released during the Biden administration back in October. And
Right.
even though I had read those, I wanted to skim and power skim through those with Crossfire fresh in my mind, because Crossfire is one of the best books as far as just no opinion, just the timeline with thousands upon thousands upon thousands of facts. And what I came to the conclusion is that most assuredly the CIA did the work. And why did the CIA do the work is because John F. Kennedy pissed off the CIA and wanted to fracture the power within the intel community. Now, you got to understand, in World War I, the Jews ran Germany. And in Russia, the oligarchs ran during the Bolshevik Revolution. And if you want to look at the Mongolian Empire, the Khans, if you want to look at China, the Ming Dynasty, I mean, you can go, who had the power? And in the United States, from 1948 till about 1961 and a half, the true power structure inside the United States was the intelligence community. We're talking J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI, the Office of Strategic Services, the CIA. The ONI was created. You had multiple agencies that the birth of them was all around this time frame. And who ran America during this time? It was the intel agencies. So when Kennedy wanted to strip power, it created this vacuum and made him a lot of enemies. So why do I say that? Well, because there is a video that ties into this, and I am calling it the JFK Effect. And what the JFK Effect is Leeroy, tell me a time that you were drinking and you woke up in the morning and you were still inebriated in your head. You've got that time? You've done that? Okay. And a lot of people will have another Bloody Mary in order to, or a mimosa or whatever, to get rid of a hangover. And it's called hair of the dog, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, there's another thing besides that, where if you are partying, if you want to surpass hair of the dog, you can do the thing called the shampoo effect, which is have multiple drinks, and then you will be as drunk as you were when you went to sleep, and you can continue partying and drinking. It's called the shampoo effect. Why is it called the shampoo effect? Because if you ever drop dish soap on your rug, right? If you drop dish soap in your rug, well, then you clean something. Well, you come back a year later and it gets wet again, and you scrub it again, and that it gets all soapy, and you're like, yeah, what just happened? What's the shampoo effect? The residual effects of alcoholic bliss. We're going viral again. Okay, this is a very long intro, but this video, I believe that the makeup of a system goes back to its roots when it doesn't know what to do. The best way that I can describe it is a boomerang. Throw a boomerang, it comes back to you. It comes back to its point of origination based upon its make, airspeed, velocity, overall resistance to wind, and overall aerodynamics, right? Well, the same thing can be said about what goes up must come down, right? Theory of relativity, Newton's law. These type of things are all, they go back to themselves. Well, humans are the same way. And I believe that bureaucracy is very much the same way, as Democrats have never truly left being a party of racism.
Oh, I would completely agree with that.
Whether they're perpetuating it or whether they're apologizing for it or whether they're making it a part of their institutions or whether they're running on it, it always comes down to racism for the Democrats. Well, when it comes to intelligence agencies, I believe that their default mechanism is to run and produce without oversight is their goal. Because oversight ultimately makes them less effective in their eyes. And if that power is removed, the fear of being inept makes them do stupid things, including using their skill set against Americans. Now, we've seen this with the Patriot Act. We've seen this with NSA spying. We've seen it with CIA and FBI being with lawfare. I mean, we've seen these things. So now that I've said all of that, and you can look at the SS, you can look at the Gestapo, you can look at the Spetsnaz, the Politburo, you can look at all the intelligence, even MI6, even Mossad has been used against its own people. The shampoo effect is in full effect here, is that the CIA is going back to its roots. I'm going to show you this video. It was a very long segue. I don't like to do that. I like to get the hosts involved right away, and I failed tonight, but you'll understand why, because I had to preface this conversation with a little bit of history. Now, hold on to your hats, because I want you to see if you can piece together what I'm about to say. All right, here it is.
Musk with the chainsaw, but Intel doesn't like being told what to do. When they saw Musk with the chainsaw doging.
What's funny is I haven't watched this yet, and isn't that hilarious that that's exactly what I just said? I have not seen this yet. I give you my word, on my life. I just saw CIA leaks a warning to Trump, and I was like, oh my God, I put something together. That's it. Very interesting that he said what I just said.
What this is, by the way.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do, because I know you do.
Foreign aid, they started leaking to CNN. If you doge us, there will be consequences. On the CIA's 7th floor, home to top leadership, some officers are also quietly discussing how mass firings and the buyouts already offered to staff risk creating a group of disgruntled former employees who might be motivated to take what they know to a foreign intelligence service. The CIA is telling CNN that if their funding gets cut, they're going to sell state secrets to Russia. Who the hell hired these Benedict Arnolds? The CIA is supposed to be filled with patriots, not sellouts. And the FBI is up to no good, too. Michael Schellenberger is reporting a source inside the FBI says the Bureau is destroying evidence. Now we know what their accomplishments were last week. Dear Elon, I wiped the servers cleaner than crooked.
Okay, so obviously you have a generational gap, because like when Leeroy and I hear that, the proverbial buttholes pucker, right? Because we're like, you don't leak intel. I don't care how disgruntled you are. You remove yourself from the equation. You ask for a transfer. You do whatever it takes, or you just resign. But there's a warning here that I wanted to make before we have this conversation, because this whole entire show is going to be, this was precluding the rest of the show, because there is so much going on in the intel communities that we have to keep this in perspective. And you're all waiting for DC Drano and Libs of TikTok and Liz Wheeler and Nick Freitas and Chad Prather to release some magical documents that are not going to come. And this is why the Don't Unfriend Me show wasn't called. Of course we weren't called because we're not popular enough, but they also know that we would have called This Shit is Rotten in Denmark. So give me a bit of time to put this all together. And as I always promise to the 345 people on right now, we'll bring it all together. My warning that Jesse didn't say is the CIA will always go back to mama. It'll always go back to what its job is. And its job is to overthrow and impede foreign governments. That is the job of the CIA. It has always been the job of the CIA. And when they feel threatened, they will impede the American government. They did it with Kennedy. They did it with Bay of Pigs. They've done it with drug running. They've done it with gun running to Mexico. This isn't the first time. They did it with Ukraine. So if all of this is the case, my warning is Trump needs to be very careful. Because there is a power vacuum that is bigger than the deep state, that a lot of people blame the deep state on. But what it comes down to is intelligence agencies, when they feel threatened, they will act in their best interest. This has been proven since the days of Caesar. This has been proven with the Greeks. And we can go back to Rasputin and the czars. And Rasputin was an intelligence official. They always go back to home. Before Leeroy chimes in, because I know he's got a bunch, and before we move into a bunch of other things, we're going to have this conversation. You're a smart guy. You were putting the pieces together. Liv, your thoughts on this? You've heard a lot about the John F. Kennedy assassination. You know my feeling about this. You got to see the assassination attempts on Trump. Your thoughts on this?
Well, who's ever saying this needs to be arrested right now for treason, in my opinion. And if they're threatening it, then why let them even remotely try to do it? If they're threatening it, then,
right,
arrest them. That's my thought. Yeah, Trump needs to be very, very careful. I would think he's not stupid enough to get in a convertible without a top and go to Dealey Plaza.
Right.
But
well,
he needs to be...
Can I be honest with you? Either did Kennedy. One of the 14,000 documents that I want to tell you about, that's interesting you brought that up, and I love that you did, is that the parade route actually was not changed until the very last minute. And it was supposed to go down Maine, but I've told you it went down Houston and Elm. Mm-hmm. And the interesting point of this whole thing is that it was actually printed in the paper, but it didn't change until after. So there is a paper that was released at the 0500 run that had the changes in the parade route, but the route wasn't changed until almost 9:40, 9:50 that morning. The Secret Service didn't even know about the changes. So when we read these documents and we see these things, there's just more and more information that makes us question the situation and say, Kennedy had no idea. And I don't even think a lot of the people involved had an idea of how big this was. And this is my fear, because it's not going to take a giant conspiracy of an intelligence agency. It's going to take a few people like Strzok and Page, who literally tried to destroy Donald Trump and purposely put it on their shoulders to run a coup d'etat in the government, with people like Brennan and Tapper and Comey waiting in the wings with no accountability. We're going to talk about Comey tonight too, because he admitted openly that he tried to entrap Trump. So some interesting stuff. I'm glad you brought that up. Anything else, Livy?
He needs to hire his own personal security that he pays for, not just Secret Service, I think.
I think this is a really good point, but I think this is why Dan Bongino isn't in charge of the Secret Service. But there's also something I know about the deputy director of the FBI position that Dan Bongino has, which will help you understand why he took that position, because I truly believe, well, we can talk about that in a second. Let's go to Leeroy, get his thoughts, and then I'll talk about Dan Bongino in a second. Leeroy, go. That's a lot to consume, everybody. Oh, you read it off first, Leeroy.
Bobby Richardson with 5199 says, love one another, don't let them win. And I can't agree with you more.
Agreed.
With regard to the warning sent out, and this is applicable to anybody who works in intel, right? So it's not that, and I really dislike the way Fox was portraying that, because they're making the case that, like, oh, this is going to happen.
Right.
No, what the email was suggesting is that, hey, you need to be very careful with who you let go. We've already had spies in the past who have been busted for selling secrets, and they do so out of a case of moral ineptitude, right? So you have people that will sell out the country for the case of a paycheck, right? Now you're in this situation where you have X number of employees, intelligence professionals, and if they get let go because of what they know, China or Russia or any one of these other countries could potentially try to pull a bait and switch or entrap them in some way, extort them, something, right? So to again help further their own cause. So this is more of a warning, not saying that, hey, this will happen, just, hey, you need to be very careful because of what these people know. If they find themselves out of a job, I could very easily see a situation where some foreign actor will try to track that person down and then say, hey, how would you like $10,000? How would you like $20,000? And all you have to do is, write us out a few secrets. And if they check out, maybe there's more coming, So we have to be very careful with that. I didn't like the way Fox portrayed it. But that was the general idea.
And my idea is a little different. And my idea is that when someone tries to splinter the CIA, the FBI, and remove power from the intel communities, that doesn't go over very well. It wasn't, folks. I want you to go ahead and tell me the 3 assassination attempts or successes that you recall off the top of your head. And there's been more, but give me the 3. Liv, go.
Kennedy, Lincoln, and Donald Trump.
And
Nancy and I are still looking for the other half
Reagan
of my head.
and I can't think. Martin Luther King.
he wasn't a president.
Oh, president. I thought
Yeah,
it was
the first black president would have been Kamala Harris. Obama was a Muslim.
Didn't McKinley? Wasn't he?
Yeah, not important. Not important. Listen, there were other assassination attempts, but I wanted to do the top 3 that we recall. Okay, so why
I was like 1 when Reagan was shot, so I don't really remember.
You don't remember Lincoln either?
No, that's
well,
true.
Okay, so somebody tell me about Lincoln. Why was Lincoln assassinated by John Wilkes Booth?
The whole Civil War, he was trying to free blacks and free the slaves. Correct?
A fairly simplistic way. But Leeroy, you want to put a bow on that at all?
I don't think I know enough historically speaking. I mean, we
Fair
all
enough.
know what Lincoln kind of stood for, but
Sure.
to get inside, to crawl around the motivations of
Yep.
someone like that, I wouldn't venture to speculate.
John Wilkes Booth believed that Abraham Lincoln was a traitor to the cause. That he betrayed the South, that lied to the South, and represented the Northern establishment, which also had slaves or were hypocrites. And he blamed them for his failures. He blamed him for some injuries that he had suffered in previous conflict. Blamed him for really the overall fall of the South. Okay. Truly, what Lincoln did is remove the power structure of the South. He removed the government. He used innovation and technology to outperform slave labor. And this advancement truly held the power structure in the North, and it made the South impotent. So when you look at that is a motivation for them to want to see Lincoln dead. And it wasn't just John Wilkes Booth. There was actually 4 other people involved in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And it is a very interesting thing. If you have not read Killing Lincoln by Bill O'Reilly, go do yourself a favor. Probably one of the greatest books you'll ever read. And Bill O'Reilly's a blowhard dick, but his books are incredible. So go read Killing Lincoln. One of my favorites. And just learning about John Wilkes Booth and the connection. And if you haven't also heard the connection between Kennedy and Lincoln,
That's cool.
Yeah, from the assassination,
Yep.
the overall consistencies of happenstance that take place between Lincoln and Kennedy's assassination is just incredible. Maybe we'll have time to talk about that tonight. Christine Clark, thank you for donating. Okay, so Reagan, why did they try to assassinate Reagan?
As far as I know,
We know why.
I don't know why, but as far as I know, it was some dude who was trying to impress Jodie Foster, who was like obsessed with Jodie Foster.
You just answered why.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember his name, but he was a little psychotic. And
John Hinckley.
Yeah, he was obsessed with Jodie Foster, and he wanted to impress her.
Yeah, he was just released about a year and a half ago.
I remember that.
On his own recognizance.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Do you guys buy the story? We have 300 people on, by the way. This is incredible. 276 in natural. Oh, dude, we're not ready for a phone call. Hi, who's calling? Hi, who's calling?
Hello?
Hey, it's Frank. It's Frank.
Frank, we're not ready yet. We'll call us back, buddy. We're in the middle of a segment. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, buddy.
Bye. So, love you, Frank, but this is too much. We don't want to lose people. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do we all believe that the United States wanted peace between Russia, that the power structure inside? Now, you're talking literally 18 years after Kennedy's assassination, 17 years after Kennedy's assassination, 1980. Ronald Reagan runs 1976, is governor, enters the RNC, was going to create a fractured convention, but they told him, Ronnie, don't do it. We'll guarantee you the seat in 1980. Just go ahead and bow out, and he did. I want you to take 1980 to 1988. Can anyone think of the war that we were going through in 1980, 1988?
The Cold War.
Yes. Not a conventional war, nothing declared by Congress. We haven't declared war since World War II. But the Cold War. How many FBI, CIA, NSA, KGB, Politburo, Spetsnaz died between 1980 and 1988? Does anyone have an idea?
I have no idea, but I have to imagine that, given that was the kind of the hot time for the Cold War, and given the interactions between the U.S. and Russia, I'm going to say that was a pretty big number.
It was actually a massive number in the intel community. Leeroy, quick question. Out of all the intelligence that we have now, what do you think roughly people who have hands-on to intelligence with top secret SCI clearance, how many people do you think that would be at any given Sunday in America? Give me a rough idea. Just rough.
You know, just a spitball, I'm going to say that's 10,000.
Probably a little closer to like 125 to 150. Because you got to take military personnel, you got to take FBI, you got to take CSA.
Oh, I
CIA,
didn't. You know what? I
NRO.
wasn't even considered the military. That's why.
Yeah, the military is why, right? So I want you to imagine this. That's just right now, let's say 150,000 people. If I told you that over 10,000 people died out of 150,000, is that a big number? 10,000 people
10%.
Out of 100? Yeah, it's
Close
a
to 10%.
big number. So what if I told you that the number back then was actually much smaller, and about 50,000 people held a clearance of that magnitude because the government was much smaller, but they lost 5,000 people between the FBI, CIA, Politburo, Spetsnaz. So there was a war that took place between American intelligence and Russian intelligence, trying to gain human intelligence flips, try to get scientists assassinated, going ahead and trying to have spies in the inner workings of the KGB, the CIA, the FBI. There were several prominent Russian posing Americans in the United States. If you haven't seen the TV show Americans, you should watch it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that is a good one.
The reason I bring all this up is Reagan's excuse of the assassination for Jodie Foster never sat well with me. I always felt that the similarity between Kennedy, Lincoln, Reagan were so strong because these were prominent figures who wanted to change the inner working power structure of the U.S. government. And Kennedy and Reagan were summarily rebuked by most of the power structures inside the United States. So Hinckley, fine. You want to say he's a crazy guy who wanted to shoot the president to impress Jodie Foster? I don't necessarily buy into it. And everything that I've studied on the subject, it just doesn't resonate. It's a little too flowery for John Hinckley. But my point is that Donald Trump is most assuredly one of these prominent change candidate figures, and he didn't do what he said he was going to do in 2016. The only thing he said he was going to do was drain the swamp
And build the wall.
Right. Well, he built and repaired plenty of wall, but he never drained the swamp. In fact, he never even scratched the surface because he put the swamp in as a cabinet. This cabinet that he has put in most assuredly will drain the swamp. And there is going to be hell breaking loose, in my opinion, when it comes to the power struggle of the U.S. government and the current cabinet and heads of departments. This is why I say Donald Trump needs to be careful, because history tells us when people like this do what they're about to do, it doesn't bode well for the person who is the change agent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hinckley didn't go to prison, but he went to a psychiatric prison. So he did go to prison. So it was still court ordered and still court mandated, and he was just released. So yes, he did. Okay, now that we've done that entire segment, let me be clear with what I'm saying. I believe that a lot of people are resting way too fucking easy when it comes to the safety of the President of the United States, not because they aren't running OPSEC correctly, not because Secret Service isn't doing their job. It's because I think, thank you, you get it, Liv.
It's the Kev Stir. Let's get this party started. $10.80. Thanks so much, Kev.
Thanks, buddy. I think that it's not that they're taking it not seriously. I believe they have forgot how close Donald Trump was to dying twice. And I don't believe that we are scared enough and considering threats from the internal aspect of our government. This is my opinion on why Dan Bongino got deputy director of the FBI. And if you could bear with me just for another minute, and then I promise you we will open it up to everybody and go into our regular scheduled program. But the FBI director is responsible under the Department of Justice, and Secret Service is under Department of Homeland Security. Leeroy, if you're going to protect somebody, and I want you to think of the whole hierarchy of protection, what is the most single-handedly most important thing that you can receive that you may not get all the time, but you could receive, and you could say a bulletproof vest, or a guy who's going to jump in front of a bullet, or a canopied limousine, or what is the number one thing that you should have if you're going to protect somebody that you would prefer to have and you would prefer to know in order to do your job effectively? Say it again.
Time to plan. First,
how do you plan?
Right out of the gate.
How do you plan? What's the most important critical thing of planning?
Well, there's an intelligence portion of that.
That's it. Perfectly answered. That's it. That's why Dan Bongino is director of FBI, because threat assessments, specifically from an international standpoint, go in through the FBI.
So
Go
I
ahead.
want to
Explain
ask you
this a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I have a legitimate question. So I want to make sure that everyone is. I bet of the 300 people that are on right now that a lot of them have the same question that I do. So are you saying that your fear is that because Donald Trump has been such a change agent, that he's been so disruptive, even from within the United States government, that you feel that there's the potential, right? Secret Service, if you're watching, this isn't us threatening
we're
or
not.
anything like that.
No.
But you're saying there's the potential that could be an increase of a threat on the president's life. Is that what?
My thoughts are that they're not only the United States government that want to see him dead, but a world effort to see him dead as well. And that is what killed Kennedy. In my opinion, I believe there were multiple sources that wanted Reagan dead.
Yeah.
I know for a fact there were multiple sources inside the United States that wanted Lincoln dead, including members of his own cabinet. The Supreme Court justices wanted him dead. He suspended habeas corpus and made them inert. But also world influence. England, France was a little sour. Europe wasn't happy with Lincoln. So my points are, I made a comparison 4 years ago, you remember, where I said Joe Biden will mirror Jimmy Carter's presidency to the nth degree. Exact footstep for footstep. And Joe Biden will be worse than Jimmy Carter. That all happened. From Iran to the Afghanistan withdrawal to the price of peanut, or the price of gas, from food, from inflation, resi crash, soldiers wantonly killed,
covering up his dementia, all of that.
Right. All of this, the cover-ups that took place inside. So all of this happened. My next thing I'm saying is what is past is prologue. And what that simply means in the most simplest terms, history repeats itself. And the signs of what Donald Trump is about to do and what could happen is there are going to be a lot of pissed off people with a lot of power who have the ability to have a common cause, which is to eliminate Donald Trump. And a lot of people were worried about domestic threats during the election. I never was. I was worried about the power structure in the United States of America, the elite hierarchy, the oligarchs that are here that run everything and have their finger on the chicken switch. Because let me be clear when I say this, the United States is the most important country to everyone else in the world, no matter if it's our enemy or our friends. Everybody's defense budget is to go ahead and try to harm America or to stand side by side and protect America. That is the truth. We are it for every country. They either try to emulate us or they want to destroy us. But we're always everybody's purpose. And there are a lot of people who hate Donald Trump and the power structure, including Macron, Merkel. I think Benjamin Netanyahu hates Trump just a little bit. And you may think that these things are strong, but Trump is kind of pulling back from Israel quite a bit. There's a lot of anger towards Donald Trump right now. And I'm telling you, it's just very reminiscent of world history that always repeats itself, that he needs to be very fucking careful.
When I often get into like these debates on the interweb, right? And I usually don't disclose who the hell I am. But a lot of times when I try to, ask some generalized questions, a lot of people will come back and say, oh my God, he's definitely a Hitler. He's a dictator. He's a narcissist. And I often ask this question, of all of the world leaders, and I'm going to include Putin, Kim Jong-un, the fat man in North Korea, even
that's Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong Un, even Canadian Justin Trudeau, even our ally
President Xi
Jinping, right? They all, when you get to become a leader of that size, right? You're in charge of countries, not companies, countries. There has to be certain qualities that they all share. And, we've all heard about like personality tests where they will test things like your level of narcissism or your self-awareness, this kind of thing. I have to imagine that there is about 80 to 90% crossover in the personalities of all of them. But only one guy gets the label of Hitler, right?
Right.
And so, to that end, I could see where he is. They probably, on some subconscious level, maybe conscious, do hate all of each other. I have to imagine that Putin absolutely hates Trump, hates Justin Trudeau, hates Kim Jong-un, right? But it's the same thing for Kim Jong-un amongst everyone else. They're looking out for themselves, maybe
Right.
their country, if they're
Right.
if they're truly, altruistic, which I doubt. To that end, does the assassination attempt percentage, does the likelihood go up if someone is that much more hated?
Right. I
Thank you,
appreciate the
Charity
wisdom
Lamb.
and knowledge to which, I'm sorry, I already was reading it, to which I have access just by watching the Dumb Show. Thank you, Charity Lamb. Thank you so much. Just apologize for rolling over. You'll get the next one, big guy.
Oh, you're fine.
So go ahead, finish up, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I was just, so to that end, I wonder if most of the world leaders do share a lot of the same common traits, if they all do suffer from some level of either narcissism or self-awareness or arrogance or extroversion, like whatever those common traits are that make up each leader, that are just compounded just by virtue that by virtue of them being a leader. And if that hatred from either other countries or even from their own citizenry, if that's actually what spikes the chance of an attempted assassination,
Yeah, I think it's not by what he has done as of yet. It's about what will be done. And I'm going to show you why a lot of this is serious. We are going to shift into B block live. This will be a lot more opportunity for contribution. I apologize.
That's okay. I'm going to take a 30-second break real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to show you a video real quick after this second. You got a full minute, okay? Cool. Be right back.
The Dumb Show was built on real conversations, raw, unfiltered, and fearless. Big tech didn't like that. Facebook pulled our funding, tried to shut us down. But for over a year, you, our incredible viewers, have kept us going. Your support, your donations, your time, it all matters. Most of you spend 10+ hours a week with us. Compare that to Netflix, maybe 5 hours a month. We believe we're worth that time, and we hope you do too. But listen,
Leeroy,
we don't want giving to feel like a burden. We want it to feel good. So take a second to ensure you're in a good spot. If you're in a place to give, amazing. If not, just liking and sharing helps us more than you know. Visit thedumbshow.com/donate. Whether it's PayPal, Venmo, or mail, every bit helps keep us going. Dumb Nation, we appreciate you more than words can say.
you guys may have been seeing that people are donating on the show, and we used to we didn't ask for donations for 3 years. We never did. Leroy's been here almost the entire time because we did well, and Facebook, gave us our advertising and our copyright and all that stuff, and they have demonetized us. In fact, you probably will not see a live commercial. Good news is I heard that somebody got some commercials last night, but it's inconsistent. I think we made $8 on the live shows from Facebook, so it's pathetic. we do fairly well on the other channels, but we do have a few ways to help out the Dumb Show. One is the Constitution of the United States of America. This is actually provided by Applewood Books and Arcadia. These are the books you see in the Smithsonian and the Library of Congress. This is a full-size Constitution, 9x6, leather, gold inlay. It's got a beautiful inner cover. It's got a full-color Constitution, biographies of all the framers, and we go into this book quite often, and you can follow along and read it with us. 146 pages, 9x6, beautiful book, all leather. We sell it. We just got them. I got the box right here, full of them. I got to ship most of them out, but we still have probably about 5 or 6 left for sale. And then we also have the Documents of Freedom back in stock. One other thing, coffee. We have veteran-made coffee. Yep, Documents of Freedom. Veteran-made coffee. We have 6 different brews. One is the 4547 Trump brand. These come in resealable body bags, and they are fresh. It's
a Faraday bag. Get it right.
Yeah, 72 hours is when these are roasted fresh. You can't get that anywhere. You can't get that in the grocery store. You can't get it from Black Rifle Coffee Company. Our guy is amazing. He's military. He's in Wisconsin. His name is Matt Hawley. He's a good buddy of mine, and he does all of our coffee, and it is fantastic. French press is ridiculous. I'm not kidding. It'll last you. 1 pound bags. We've never increased the price. You can get that at thedumbshow.com. Last but not least, thedumbshow.com/donate. You can donate to the show. If you've watched it and you've just taken the first 45 minutes, you're like, wow, this show's great. I really love it. Well, if you do, keep it on the air and keep it free, because we're not being appreciated like we should be, in my opinion. And I'll tell you a little bit about that next. That's the next segment. So if you want to donate, help us out, thedumbshow.com/donate. Moving into the B block. This video was played last night, around 20 hours ago. And, well, maybe a little bit. It was 24 hours ago, pretty much. Somewhere, whatever time Jesse comes on. And this raised an uproar. Now, I don't trust the government.
Really?
Even with Trump, no.
I had no idea.
Even with Trump in it. And when they're like, oh, he's going to release all the Kennedy files. Have you seen them?
No.
And you're not going to.
I haven't.
You're not going to. And all the Epstein files, you're not going to see those either. And the only way you're going to see those is for the current cabinet members, directors, and appointed positions to break national security procedure. It's the only way. And for that to happen, they have to be willing to go to Leavenworth and be tried with treason and go to jail. And I don't believe they will, because the power structure that I was talking about cannot allow these things to be released. Now, you may ask, well, Matt, why wouldn't they release the John F. Kennedy files? Liv, I'm sure you're thinking that, right? It's been, since 63, November 22nd, 1963.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking 40, 60, 63 years.
My mom was 8, so...
Well, the reason why is because some of the asset collection that we did back then is still viable for today. And it's not with Intel. Intel is a progressive form and art, and it uses systems and improves upon them and collection assets. But they're still the same form of intelligence level. And there could very well be some of that in there that could expose current systems and collection apparatuses that we use. But this video really stirred a lot of shit. And as I watched it, I said, I think we're being sold a big heap of bullshit, but it's not Pam Bondi's fault. Listen to this.
A lot of people are wondering, because you said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk, is when can we see them and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see hopefully tomorrow is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well, we'll
along
look for
with his
that.
co-defendant.
Absolutely, and he had help. That's for
He
sure.
sure did.
Not very specific. And to me,
No.
my first reaction is this is basically what I anticipated seeing. Leroy and I have seen this many a times.
There it is.
And it looks
I
just
was
like
just
that.
thinking that. I was
That's
absolutely thinking, you know what everyone is going to see tomorrow? That.
And that's pretty much what
Nothing.
they got. Nothing.
Yeah. I'll tell you why.
Yeah, go ahead, Leroy.
I'll tell you exactly why. So when you're talking that level of redaction, right? And I understand what she's saying is that they're going to do that to protect the names of the victims. And she said that there were in upwards of 250 of them, right? So for every victim that's on there, there's going to be, 2, 3, 5 people. I don't know, flight logs, people who work the grounds, people who worked at Epstein's facility. There's going to be hundreds more people who worked in the background that possibly have never been charged. And if somebody has not been charged with something, if there's an active investigation, then they're not going to mention that person's name because that would taint a potential jury pool. So they're going to keep all of that super sanitized. The only thing you're going to hear about other than black lines is it happened between these dates. It happened at this island. Literally, it's going to be nothing more than what you already know.
Great point. Somebody just said Black Rifle donated to Democrats, and some idiot told you that. He's actually right. Most of Black Rifle's employees, I think the number is like 96 some odd % of them donated to the DNC and the Democrat National Convention. And we're not talking small pennies. So a lot of Black Rifle people donated to Democrats. So I'm not here to bust their balls. They're good coffee. I actually know the owner. I've got nothing negative to say, but I will tell you that a lot of people in his company donated to Democrats. Now, whether that's changed or not, I don't know. But that's the truth. It's true.
Yeah.
JD Stillwell, $15. Happy Thursday. God darn it, Leroy, I took it from you. I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying those. I apologize. I promise you the next one's yours. So I've got some stuff, and most of you have probably seen this now, but I had this morning and actually had a viewer send it to me. So I'm going to hold off, that as important because I like getting information.
I saw this.
Yeah, this is from the Office of the Attorney General. So this is to Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. Pretty much, in not so many words, put Kash Patel on notice, and sounds very much like a person who is the leader of the DOJ telling an employee of the FBI who works for the DOJ to do their job. And they are very close friends. Like, on each other's confirmations, they gave each other credit for sticking side by side. And I'm not saying Pam Bondi is turning on Kash Patel. What I'm saying is that she is putting this out in the ether that he is on notice and needs to do his job. And it says, "Dear Director Patel, before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts, and a list of victims' names and phone numbers." And I'm not going to be lying to you folks. I was a little jelly when I saw some of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how come I didn't get invited? I've defended Trump ad nauseum. I know we're small, but I'm like, dude, I like to think that we're in the top 50 out there of conservative podcasts. I think we've gotten to a place where Damani Felder would agree with that. I think Damani loves our show. Ryan Samuels loves our show. Ryan Weaver loves our show. I know there's other people who watch
Roseanne.
our show. Yeah, so we're getting there. But anyway, I was a little jealous, and then I realized this is nothing. I repeatedly questioned whether This was the full set of documents responsive to my request. I was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received a full set of documents. And then a source, it was a whistleblower actually, from the FBI field office in New York, was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn of this new information. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, February 28th, which is tomorrow, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio and video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients, regardless of such information was obtained or how it was obtained. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. The Department of Justice will ensure that any public disclosure of these files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims in accordance with the law, as I have done my entire career as a prosecutor. I am also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and propose personal action within 14 days. I appreciate your immediate attention to the important matter. I know that we are both committed to transparency for the American people. I look forward to continuing to work with you. I'm just going to give you a quick... Liv, do you think that's contentious, or what do you think that... What is that designed to do?
Just maybe a little bit of power grab. I'm higher up on the chain, the food chain, than you are.
You think so?
I don't know. I mean,
well,
she's a little demanding in that letter, and if she can be demanding and go, it needs to be done by this time, and give it, that means she is higher up on the food chain than he is. That's what I would think. Otherwise, she can't make demands of him like that.
I think a lot of people who haven't received a letter like that, or let me say this differently, who have framed together a letter like that would assume that. And I could see totally, that's why I asked the question. Leeroy, what is that letter?
So not only do I completely agree that that's how it would be perceived, however, that I actually felt like was more of a, hey, look, I look forward to working with you on this. This is what you're going to do. You're going to give me this within the next 2 weeks, right? And we're going to work together on this. I felt that was more of a, hey, look, you're going to help me out, and in return, I'm going to help you out at some point. But I could easily see where that letter could have been taken maybe a little aggressively, maybe a little assertively, which there's nothing wrong with that. I assume that when people get to that level, when you're the attorney general, when you are the FBI director or the director for any one of the three letters, there's going to be a certain tone that is conveyed in most of those letters that would all read fairly similarly.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been in big business like that.
It's totally fine. That's why I asked you. To see what your thoughts were. There is a very key line in here that I all want you to listen to that you may have missed. When you guys can see the highlight here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. This is what is known as punching somebody's ticket. She has given him, also known as a notice of writ on the King's Highway. So back in the days of old, that messengers and whatever, if they wanted to move unaccosted and unmolested between kingdoms, would get a letter of writ along the King's Highway. Yeah, and a King's Highway wasn't a physical place. It was just truly a passage that gave you 100% autonomy and freedom to go wherever you wanted based upon the King's orders. This is a writ on the King's Highway. This gives Kash Patel, they've already talked. They went, the first person she called was Kash Patel and said, what do you want to do? And he's like, send me a letter, put me on notice. So I now have the power and instruction. So the hierarchy sees that I have marching orders. And I have the writ of the leader, the attorneys general of the Department of Justice, which is the leader of the DOJ, has ordered me to release these files. And I can walk in with a writ of the King's Highway and say, give me every fucking file. It's going to her. And that's why she did it. So it is a fantastic way. Go ahead.
Yeah. When you read a statement like that, could you throw that letter back up there real quick?
Sure.
When you read a when you read a statement like that, there's a certain level of buy-in that basically says, hey, look, we're on the same team. I am doing this with your aid, and you're doing this with my aid. That's what that statement says, is that it's kind of like the hard closer at the at the car dealership who's like, what's it going to take for us to get into, right? That is what that statement is. This is, hey, we're on the same page here. You and I were both surprised at this. Now, how do we move forward?
Right. Yeah, it's very clear. And I've written, like, when I want to throw a colleague under the bus, but I don't want to throw a colleague under the bus, I don't write a letter like this. But if I want to go ahead and let people in the hierarchy know that there's something seriously wrong, and I've already done my homework and I've went through the proper chains of command, I would write something like this. As we discussed yesterday, Bob.
Yeah.
In recap, so they've already talked. They already know the plan, and now she's putting it in writing.
They already determined the timeline. So that 2 weeks, although it sounds aggressive, Joanne Lutman donated $20, says, my blanket came today. Love it. Pictures do not do it justice. Well, thank you, Joanne.
It's a very comfy blanket. Go ahead.
Is it? What was I saying?
You were saying we're talking about
the timeline. Yeah. When she says in letterhead, hey, you're going to get this to me within the next 2 weeks, that may sound a little aggressive up front. I guarantee they already determined that on the phone in a very personal, very casual conversation. Hey, how long is that going to take for you to get that to me? And Matt says, it'll take 2 weeks. Okay, fine. I'm going to put that in my letterhead. That's how casual that went.
So this is so we're all following along, a lot of information. So I apologize, especially to Livy, who's just sitting here listening to most of this. So
Sorry,
today, well, it's not you and I doing all the talking. It's just, I think it's a lot of it's information, and I'm doing most of the talking. I apologize. Earlier today, you can see DC Drano is right here. Libs of TikTok Girl, Liz Wheeler, Chad Prather, people I know, not personally. I've interacted with Drano a couple of times. Chad Prather, I've been on his show saying, hey there, I like this. And these are all people I like.
Fantastic suit he's wearing.
Yeah, do I think it's the right people for the job? No. No, I don't. Because I wouldn't have accepted the binder. And this is definitely a photo op. And in my opinion, I'm not coming down on Pam Bondi. This isn't a negative on her. But to me, it just looks like something important's taking place.
What exactly is this?
This is the release of the Epstein files, supposedly. And every single one of these documents is already out in the ether. I can show you the flight logs. I can show you the call records. I can show you the black book. All of these things have been out for years. There is nothing in them. And I'm going to explain the breakdown. But what they did is they invited several of these prominent conservative Twitter voices. And to me, it's a little frustrating. Maybe I'm jealous. I was at first, I'm not going to lie, because I was like, you know what? We've worked our asses off for this administration, and we've been challenging but fair, and we've brought a lot of truth when people were lying. And we've turned a lot of people in favor of Trump based upon our conversations, but certainly not as much as Drano or Chad Prather or those guys or Nick Freitas. But this whole staged event, to me, is in poor taste. You knew that this stuff was a nothing burger. You invited these guys, and honestly, people like myself are like, why is this not out in the public? Why aren't you putting on the whitehouse.gov page in PDF format with a searchable database for everyone to see? Why are you giving it to people who already have established their networks and their channels? Because wasn't the whole point of having podcasters come in the press release who were kind of unknown was to expose people to a different opinion? I didn't like it. It just felt like It's just
It was artificial.
Yeah, like fake. So I got pissed. But then I started seeing what was in these things. And then I saw some of the comments and I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of proud that I wasn't, because I would have had to have this giant nothing burger to show what people should have already known. And if you tie them together, is that the FBI wasn't going to release this stuff to Pam Bondi. So she made a promise. And what it does is it exposes the deep state. Yeah, but we already knew it was there. So what I would not have done, and they're trying to spin this now and say, oh, well, the reason why we did this was to show you. We made all these binders and did these photos to show you how bad they are. No, you didn't.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, it's not how it works.
And honestly, and I know what you're saying, Matt, because like, let's say you get a document, right? You get a document and you're like, we have just so that everyone is on, all right, we have what? Close to 350 people on. Matt and I are both former intelligence professionals. Okay. We've worked in the industry. We know how to do research. And when you are trying to solve a problem, when you are trying to figure out JFK's assassination attempt, or, Trump's, or whatever the case is, whatever the intellectual problem is that you're trying to solve, you start collecting your evidence. Right. So you get this nice big book of evidence, all open source, which basically means that it's just readily available on the internet. Then you get granted access to the White House and they're like, we're going to give you the keys to the kingdom. Right. And then they hand you this binder and you start flipping through it and you're like,
this is shit.
There's nothing. This does nothing for me. Like, there's nothing in there that I didn't already know. That's literally what Matt is talking about.
Well, and then here, listen, no offense to Liz Wheeler. I know people who know Liz. She's a very smart, intelligent woman. I like her very, very much. There's really no but to that. But you probably shouldn't have went to work with Stu Peters, because you got bent over and porked in the keister. And I could have told you that. That's what happens when you go work for an anti-Semite. So I'm glad she struck out on her own now. But here is her comments kind of breaking this down, and I want you to listen to it, because this is a shift, right? Melanie says, that's not the point. It gives them more time to dig deep. Who? It gives whom more time to dig deep? See, this is the trust the plan stuff that I don't buy into. Yeah. I'm not going to trust the plan. Okay? You don't sit here and say that you're going to release this giant fucking drop of information that's going to make us sick to our stomach when all it is phone numbers and flight log information, and there's no right. I want to know who did. I want to know what fucking celebrities did this. I want to know what lawyers did this. I want to know what banks did this. I want to know what CEOs did this, and I want them publicly crucified. I want these people strung up in Times Square by a yardarm. I want them flogged, bagged, tarred, feathered, and whipped and quartered on all four fucking corners of our continent. That's what I want. I don't want files. If you fucked kids, you deserve the ultimate pain and suffering for the rest of your miserable fucking existence.
Yeah.
Until I decide, or the people decide, that you've had enough. Till every American can walk up and visit the location that you are hanging from and prosecute some sort of pain and misery upon your fucking soul. Okay? That's what I want. I don't want phone numbers. I don't want flight logs that we've had for fucking 7 years. I'm not. This is why I will never be invited to this stuff. This is why Benny Johnson wasn't there. Because I believe Benny would call it out. And that's hard for me to say, because Benny doesn't really call it anything. But I think he would have said something. Wait a second. I've seen this. Everybody's seen this. This has been out for fucking years.
Nothing in there that's new. Right.
Brenda, thank you. A little extra money since I'm not buying cigarettes. That a girl.
Day 4.
Good for you, Brenda. Listen to this, folks. This is just listen.
Hey, I'm in the airport, but I wanted to jump on here because this stuff is blowing up as it should be, and I wanted to open the Epstein the Epstein files binder and show you what's in it, because this whole exercise is about transparency, and I wanted to address some of your concerns, but I want to start with what happened.
Is that our dog? No?
I think she's dreaming.
This morning. So this morning I was at the White House meeting with President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance and Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel. And they presented us with, let me show you. They presented us with a couple of things that I want to show you. And you'll have to forgive the background. We are right now in the airport. And they presented us with this binder. Now, this is the binder that I posted a picture of. You saw that. Millions of people saw that. It says on the front, the Epstein Files Phase 1 by order of Attorney General Pamela Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel, the most transparent administration in history, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Now, what's interesting is we're all waiting for bombshells. We're all waiting for juicy stuff. And that's not what's in this binder. That's not what's in this binder.
Okay, but that's not what we were promised, right?
Right.
So between the hours of promising on Jesse Waters, now I'm laying this out I'm giving you the timeline of why I'm frustrated and why you should be too. Does that mean we're upset with Pam Bondi? No. Does it mean we're upset with Liz Wheeler or Donald Trump? No. These are the facts. And I am not going to not present the facts on my show. I want you to have all the information that you deserve, because I would have come on and said, guys, I'm letting you know, I want to apologize first and foremost because I was invited to this, and I want to let you know that I am now a part of it, and I've let you down too because I don't have the goods. I don't have the information for you. Instead of trying to sell it like this was all planned, like we were trying to show you the deep state at work. That's bullshit. That narrative is just spin because you didn't get the goods, and when they saw this, people weren't happy. Nick Freitas was in the room. And I trust Nick Freitas about as much as I trust Leeroy, my wife, and Eli Crane. And I'm going to put Nick on here, and he's going to tell you. But they all got the same talking points. I'm just letting you know, everybody got a memo. And instead of me being appreciative that you allowed me to come into a White House briefing room, I want to be appreciative that you finally did what you said you were going to do and release these fucking files. But I am not going to say thank you for you giving me a Make America Great Again hat, a binder, and giving me a photo op. I don't want it. I want the truth. Go ahead, Leroy.
Back when Trump's Mar-a-Lago compound was raided, the FBI and the police and everyone took great strides to make sure that everyone saw laying on the ground were all of these folders that were listed as either classified top secret, classified secret, or classified just regular classified, right? But you didn't see anything in it. It was just the shock value of the exterior of the folder to say, look what we have. That's exactly what this is. This is just, look, we've got an Epstein binder. And that's all it is.
That's not what we were promised.
There's nothing contextually that's relevant in there. Not yet. You would have to let us see those details.
Right. I'm going to show you what was in it in just a second. But for the sake of time, go ahead. Wrap it up.
Well, and so I was just going to say that, this is the same thing. Whereas the left had tried to do this with the same tactic, just by showing us a bunch of empty folders. I see this as very much the same way. This is a from the right, but it's a binder that, for all I know, is completely empty.
Okay.
And that's exactly how the Attorney General presented it to us. She handed us this binder and she said, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, has given me an order to declassify the Epstein files, and I have been quickly working on doing just that because we want to be the most transparent administration in history. We know that as of a week ago, she went on,
Judy,
I believe it was...
I watched I watched Chad Prather, and he did that. Yes, so did Nick. And I love Chad Prather, and I am a big Nick fan. I like Liz, DC Drano, whatever. I don't really know him, but these people I follow and I like, and I'm not knocking people. I'm just telling you what happened and what didn't happen.
Fox News and said that she had the Epstein files on her desk. And when I think it was Jesse Waters asked her, well, have you found anything juicy yet? She said, not yet. So her message to me when she handed me this binder
That's not what she said. We just heard it. We just heard it, and that's not what she said on Jesse Waters. I showed you what she said on Jesse Waters, and she didn't say that. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right.
We expected to release bombshells. We expected to find the dark stuff, the dirty stuff, the names of the people that were involved in what Epstein was doing. And when these files were put on my desk, and she was relating how she looked through them. She was relating how she looked through them. She said it wasn't what I was expecting, and I said, "Is this it? Is this it?" And she said, something is not right here. Now, just because she had that feeling, she still wanted to not only fulfill the president's order to release these, she wanted to do it in a timely manner. And so they prepared this binder. They were going to release what's in this binder, and I'll show you what's in it. It's also going to be available online here shortly, so that all of us can go.
All right, Dean. Dean says, could they possibly use this for leverage on what you talked about in A Block and his cabinet safety? Dean, I don't think they would use it to blackmail the president, because that is pretty stupid.
That would be dangerous.
That would be dumb, but blackmail can happen with actions and innuendo very subtly. It's not like Kennedy didn't know that he was surrounded like Caesar. There were people with knives behind the curtain. He knew. So did Lincoln. Kennedy's favorite poem was "Every parting is a foretaste to death." It's not a very happy event. Lincoln had run-ins with death and had morbid curiosity about the afterlife. But this is the one I want to show you. I want you all to listen to me. I'm not going after Pam Bondi. And the reason why I have to keep saying this is because people will tune out. Because if I don't explain it this way, they go, "Oh, well, you're a rhino." We've done this shit before. We did this shit in 20 to 21. I'm not fucking doing it again. If you don't trust me by now, Matt's changed. Fuck you, I've changed. You know I haven't changed. I'm the exact same guy I've always been. I call balls and strikes. I don't care who's pitching, because I don't care about the team. I care about you. I care about the fans. I care about the people in the stands. I don't care about the owners. I don't care about the unions. I don't care about the players. I care about the fans. Here is my boy, Nick Freitas, who we live like super close to each other. I have got to fucking meet this guy. He was in the room. And you notice how he doesn't have his picture taken? You notice how he isn't the front page smiling? Because he's not there for that. He's there for the truth. He is Veritas personified. Probably this is one guy I will listen to, and I would not talk when he is on.
He's a good
guy. All right,
social
social media has been blowing up, and I think it has something to do with, that right there. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Yeah, I was in the room when Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, the Attorney General and the Director of the FBI, were handing these out. And right off the bat, one of the first things they said was, we're going to be releasing this to the public. What you need to understand is that there really isn't a smoking gun in the new information that we have available, except for the fact that it has become evident that certain members of the FBI have been withholding information from the Attorney General's office. Now, the AG has been pursuing this, but now we have a new director of the FBI, Kash Patel. So what we finally have is an Attorney General and a director of the FBI that actually wants to get to the bottom of this and will hold accountable not only the people on the Epstein list, but the people within the government who have been withholding key information in order to subvert prosecution. Now, as information becomes available, they have to be careful because they have to weigh what they need to get out to the public at the same time that they're going to need to be able to prosecute certain individuals. So I understand that. Here's what I'm saying. I know we're all frustrated about this because we should have had a lot more information a lot sooner. But I genuinely believe that we have people in power now that want to do something about it. And quite frankly, I'm willing to let them cook.
Nick Freitas, man, dropping bars. And that is the other end of this conversation, and the one that I led with. This exposes, but what you should have said is, we got burned. I trusted the people who I knew not to trust, and I will never make that mistake again. As the attorneys general of this country, I trusted the FBI, and that was foolish. I'm going to give you everything we have, and now, with the power invested in me from the Department of Justice as the attorneys general, with Kash Patel, with this administration we're going to go find the truth. And now we're going to go hunt. I want you to stay tuned. These people right here, all of this will be released to you. We're going to break this out in phases. This is phase 1. Phase 2 will be more information. This is what we can expect. This is phase 3, and this will be wrapped up in phase 4. Phase 4 will be, all of this will be released on a PDF on the .gov, a searchable database, whatever. But none of that happened. Mm-hmm. To me, this was rushed. To me, she got ahead of her skis a little bit. She's now learned her lesson. This is a nice, let's put the proverbial shit back in the horse. I like what Nick said. Nick, I respect the fucking shit out of you, and I would have your babies if I was capable, but you towed the line for her. You towed the line.
According to the liberals, you can.
You cleaned up for her a little bit, and I expected more of you. Like, if Nick was here right now, I'd tell him, I admire the shit out of you, but you just towed the line for them and carried their water. To me, I think you should have been a little harder. I think you should say what I'm saying. They screwed up. They got ahead of their skis. They didn't get what they wanted. It's not going to be this easy. And now they got to go hunting for dinner.
Dean said, I meant his cabinet using it for their safety. Sorry, I didn't explain it better. He was the one who had the question.
I get you, Bubba. Go ahead.
So I see this as one of the pitfalls with the current administration. We talked about this a couple of nights ago. The speed at which they are trying to move things along, and whether or not that looks like building a wall, whether or not we're talking about deportations or stopping fentanyl or looking into Epstein's Island or just anything that he had promised when he was on the campaign trail. There is going to be a certain amount of this that is the unfortunate consequence of just sometimes moving a little too fast. Victor Davis Hansen, he had done a video, this is 2 weeks ago, where he spoke about how fast the Trump administration is moving through everything and that there was a strategy behind it. And that strategy was just to address things so fast as to make sure the Democrats couldn't keep up. That's fine. If you're doing nothing but hitting home runs each and every time. Every now and then you're going to run into a situation where it's not a home run. Maybe you got a little ahead of yourself here on this front, and this is one of those situations.
People are talking about the numbers: 362 overall, 240 on Twitter, 92 on Facebook. Screw you, Facebook.
Mel said she just refreshed and it says 349 on Twitter.
Yeah, there's it's getting big because we're telling the truth. We're not tearing people apart. Listen, I am self-destructive. So, I would have been like, you want me to tell my people what? You want me to tell them that this was all? That's not what you said on Jesse Waters. And in this room, I'm going to be the voice of opposition. I'm not going to do it outside of here. I'm a conservative. I'm all about the Trump administration. I'm not going to go ahead and burn bridges. I'm going to toe the line if the line is something that's not going to strangle me later. I understand why Nick did it. Nick's a congressman. Nick's smart. Right. Nick needs to grease the wheels. He needs to get reelected. Right. Nick's smart. I'm just busting his balls. He's not even going to watch this. But I expect more from Liz Wheeler. I'm glad Chad Prather did what he did, because that, to me, Chad's honorable, dude. Chad's a good dude. Other people, Drano put 15-minute video out and basically went through every page and just said, this is nothing. Here it is. Here's all. And it's like, there's nothing there. You owe your audience the truth. And if it's a nothing burger, don't fill it full of shit and tell everyone to take a bite. You get my point? That's all I'm saying. Now, yeah, I'm looking forward to phase 2. You know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to people in chains with black hoods over their fucking heads as they've been convicted of this pedophilia ring and being put into Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I want.
And
I want them interrogated, and everybody who profited, man, woman, or child, anyone who profited pays.
And there's a certain level of bluntness that we would expect from you, certainly, right? Because you are not a politician. You've admitted that. Because Nick Freitas is, there's a certain amount of, man, I got to be careful what I say here. I better not burn this particular bridge, or I have to use the correct political lingo in order to navigate that landfill. Right. We can afford to be, because we're kind of at the bottom rung here, we can afford to be a little bit more blunt and say, oh man, that binder, that's bullshit. Like, we can do that.
I don't know if we're bottom rung.
For sure, but
no. I just want to be clear. I don't think we're bottom rung, right? I think that I don't think we are. I think we are not being exposed the way we should be, based upon the algorithms and based upon the time we came in. Like, I think if we came in at 2018, we'd be one of the top shows in the country, but we didn't. And
when I say bottom rung, I mean,
I know what you're saying.
I know what you're saying.
I know what you're saying. I'm not challenging the symbolism between being the bottom rung of the ladder. What I'm saying is I don't think we're the ladder. I think we are more of the foundation that the ladder should build itself upon, which is trust, truth. I don't even care if we get to the top of the ladder. Let other people do it. Let other people listen. I don't want to go to the White House. I've been there. You and I have been to some of the most secure locations in the world. We've briefed some very important people from a civilian sense and military sense. I don't know many people who can say, I briefed the Secretary of Defense and Tim Cook. I don't know many people who can say that. In fact, I don't know if anyone can say that. That's a big honor. If I went into the White House, it would be business. I would sit in the back and I'd listen and I'd watch. And I just would ask questions that most people aren't going to want to ask. My question to Pam Bondi would be, if you could do this all over again, would you have all of us here with these binders? And this is the moment that you want everyone to pay attention, because you had one chance to really get everybody's attention. And now you may not get the same reaction you wanted from phase one. Would you do it? That's the question I would have asked. And you know what she probably would have said? No, this wasn't the ultimate goal. Then let's not go out there with these binders, is what I would say. Hold on a second. I'm on a good one. Let's wait. Let's not go out here for this photo op. Let's everybody agree right now. We're going to put these binders away. We're going to add a level of secrecy to this to create more anticipation. And we're going to wait until tomorrow when you have what's best. Where do you want us to stay? Do you want us over at the Watergate Hotel? Where do you want us to stay? And we'll do this tomorrow instead. Everybody agree right now, sign NDA. Nobody do a show. Everybody put a cryptic message up there. Guys, this is going to take longer than 24 hours. Please wait till 8 a.m. tomorrow. We've got new updates for you. That's what I would have asked. Because my goal isn't to hurt the administration. My goal is to get the truth and continue to have this administration do the right thing to the American people. And that's what I would have said. Okay, Livy, go ahead.
Do you think she jumped the gun and promised this without having all the information? And when she got the information, it was like, oh, shit.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what she did. This happens in Intel all the time. When you get the fucking rookie, Lieutenant JG comes in and he does a briefing and the guy promises the world and tries to answer everything. Most answers in Intel are the following. I do not have that information right now, sir. However, I will get back to you as soon as humanly possible. That's it. That's the number one answer in Intel. Go ahead.
Absolutely, because that's part of the actual cycle. One of the last things that's in the intelligence cycle is to let the customer drive a certain portion of the collections requests. What was it, Livy, that you had just said that there was?
She jumped the gun?
Yeah, she did. There was something. There was a point that I was going to address that was attached to that. I can't think of it right now. I'm tired.
Well, either way, we're all tired. Listen, we'll be right back. We're going to get in the C block. This show's going to get even more and more, man. We got a lot to cover tonight. Livy, you're a godsend, and I love you, and thank you.
She's awesome.
Can I tell you what Olivia's thinking? It's always like this with Matt and Leeroy. It's going, you see, she's laughing. It's not. It's
always Intel shit with the
done.
Two of you.
We're done. I promise you it's now done, and we're going into the regular segments. I apologize, but this was probably one of the most important things for me to do, is to represent the people who are out there trying to bring you the truth represent the true intentions of this administration, but also have a little humility in that you got played a little bit. Let me explain something, Pam Bondi. Let me explain something, Pete Hegseth. Let me explain something Cash Patel knows, because he's an Intel guy. Intel people aren't stupid, and they will fucking expose your weaknesses, and they will make you look stupid. They're good at this. So don't trust. That's where trust but verify comes in. We'll be right back with C Block after this brief message.
Join Wimkin.com, the social media platform built for free speech and true connection. No censorship, no algorithms controlling your feed, just genuine conversations and a commitment to protecting your rights. Sign up today at Wimkin.com and take back your voice. Tell them Matt and the Dumb Show sent you.
We just clicked 390. Deanna Lorraine, who's had me on her show, doesn't have me on anymore. Stu Peters Network. I don't think she likes me. When she called me Mike Spear on the header and spelled it S-P-E-A-R, I corrected her on it. She has 679. We have 266. Deanna, we're coming for you. She's a good person, and she has her own show, and it's nice to see us within the same framework. Karoline Levitt, you know who that is, Liv?
Yes.
White House press secretary.
Yes.
She was on Casey Hunt's show. It sounds like Hunt, but it should start with a C. Shunt. Shunt is what I was thinking.
Maybe it should be titled C Hunt.
Yeah, C Hunt. She decided to go ahead, and Karoline Levitt just looks smoking because, it's Karoline Levitt. She looks like, do you remember Days of Our Lives? Do you remember Roman and Marlena's daughter, Carrie?
Mm-hmm.
That's who she looks like.
Oh, okay.
You'll see when I put this up here. Yes, I watch Days of Our Lives. Don't give me any shit.
I did too.
Yeah. These are the days of our lives. She got kicked off CNN today. They cut the White House press secretary off. Want to get your opinion? We're going viral. Something's huge going on in Facebook. I don't know what it is, but it's nice to see. Here we go.
It takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently
stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking my
Trump to
colleagues.
Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you
I'm
continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point. She is welcome to come back and speak about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will have equal time to Joe Biden when they both join us now at later this week in Atlanta for this debate.
It takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that.
That's Carrie from Days of Our Lives. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I would love to get everybody's opinion. Just quickly, Olivia, you're first, obviously. If you're out of breath on your podcast, it's because your heart rate is going, your blood pressure's up, you're emotional, and you're also a little nervous.
You're freaking cutting off the White House press secretary.
You're guilty as shit, lady.
You're fucked.
You're guilty as shit.
Yeah, yeah. CNN's going down.
Why? Your thoughts on that? I mean, I've never treated a guest like that in my life. I have no desire to treat a guest like that. This is the White House press secretary. Do you think you can have a modicum of respect?
Exactly.
Jake Tapper. Are you kidding me? He puts out a book that questions Joe Biden's efficacy, his overall capabilities, and his mental faculties. But I've got 100 videos that can show you where Jake Tapper was just lambasting people for anyone who questioned Joe Biden's mental faculties. Liv, what do you think about this? And I thought it was all about women. Isn't this like Me Too? Isn't this sexism? What the hell, man? I thought women were important. I guess you have to be a Democrat.
CNN doesn't look at that. CNN, yeah. If there's an R by your name, or you support this administration, you are evil. And you're the other side. You're the devil, and they don't care. It doesn't matter that Karoline Levitt's a woman. It doesn't matter. Well, the problem with that is Karoline Levitt was born a female. She was born with penis, and they got it chopped off. So in her eyes, in CNN's eyes, she's not a real woman, so they don't care about her.
It's not a bad thing. And also, when you look like Brett Favre in a wig and like you've just had way too many drinks, that
looks like a mugshot.
She got sleepy eye right there. Yeah,
I'm just saying. It's like
a total mugshot.
I just don't understand. What is CNN so afraid of? It's like when we watch Scott Jennings. I mean, Scott Jennings just goes in there and destroys. You think CNN would just be like, you know what, let's stop putting him on. But you know what it is they're trying to recreate the Five. The problem is that Jessica Tarlov, although annoying to people, she's not very good at controlling the panel. Scott Jennings has no problem with just destroying everybody on that damn panel and making them look silly. Here's a little hint. You're not going to create the next Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan wasn't manufactured. Mm-hmm. You're not going to do it. You're not going to create a Five because the thing about Fox people is, yes, Fox may be faux media at times. There's no doubt. But their viewers believe in something. They don't just condemn everything. They actually believe in God. They actually believe that men are men and women are women. They actually believe in the sanctity of this country, and they love our country. Democrats, the only thing they believe in is that Republicans are wrong and want to tear down everything that isn't their idea. You can't recreate that. Just like you can't tax people into prosperity, you can't create genuine loyalty from hate and anger all the time. Leroy, your thoughts on this?
Well, the level of unprofessionalism that was displayed there from CNN, while the White House press secretary, the highest person of any sort of rank that should be dealing with the media, they won't even let her make a point, right? If you can't even let her finish her thought, then you are truly an unprofessional hack. Now, I say that to say this. Obviously, the whole thing had a goal, right? She wanted that conversation to be aimed in a very particular way. And it was an entrapment type speech. And that was a classic case of say what I want you to say, or I'm going to cut you off. Right? That's exactly what it was. And there was no, I don't know, it wasn't a good faith interview. It wasn't a good faith argument. This was done in a way so that CNN could potentially paint her in a bad light and control the conversation. That's exactly what that was.
Fair enough. Bobby Richardson came in with $51.99. It says, "Smile. It makes people wonder what you are up to."
I like it.
Is that Leeroy just drinks? I got to smile in front of the camera in March, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Like, they're going to have to, like you and I'm going to have a drink or two before we go in. That's what we should do. We should go to lunch, go to a bar, and have a couple pops before we come in.
Yeah, no.
No, I didn't say get shit-faced, but just have like a drink or two, right? Just to
up.
loosen up a little bit. Yeah, because, dude, I don't want to go in there all stuffy. I mean, I'll bring a freaking snooter if I have to and you know, bring a little flask. But we should just go to...
Look at the instructions. Like it says pre-photo shoot on his page. One of them says practice positions and smiling in the mirror.
You and I are
you're more
be,
comfortable.
Dude, I'm always doing this and smiling in the mirror all the time and practicing.
Oh my God, Matthew.
Yeah, look at, oh my God, look at that
positions.
Look at
we
that.
do not have a mirror above our bed. Just
not
so
above, on
know.
the side, so I can check my frame. But damn, my chest is getting.
Yeah, that's the what's the name of that movie with?
Oh yeah, American Psycho.
Yes.
I'm so
looking at
dude. Our
himself.
brains. We just need to have sex. All right, now that Leroy and I've got. Oh, you know what?
You can go to the abortion clinic.
Let's put Olivia in the middle. I don't know why. Should have fixed that. So that's side profile starting to look good though. I mean, seriously, okay. All right. We need to. We'll have a few drinks before we go. I'm not talking get shit faced. I'm talking like let's go to like.
What time's the appointment, by the way?
3:30.
3:30. Yeah. So we would.
When are you coming in on Friday? When's your plane coming in?
I gotta double check it. I have to.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We got the room. You're staying in Hayden's bedroom because we don't want you. The other bed. No, Hayden's staying up with us, but you're in her. But
you're gonna have to talk to Hayden about that one.
What?
I'll sleep on the floor in your room.
Wait, what?
We'll talk later.
But this happens all the time with family. Wait a second. Stop. You change the sheets. You put new bedding on, and it's a bed. I mean, you want to put them up in the guest bedroom? Let's have this conversation. This is fantastic. Why people watch.
This is Hayden's thing. She needs to come in and have the conversation
Just
because
tell
it's
me.
not my room. It's
Tell
hers.
me. What is it?
She's never personally met Leeroy, no matter how much she loves you. She doesn't feel very comfortable having a grown man sleep in her bed that she doesn't know on a personal level.
Okay.
She's like, I'm okay with grandma because it's grandma. But
got it. That kind of makes sense. I guess it does make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is what we'll do. You and I can't have sex for a night. So because I'm not putting him against our room because that poor guy is never going to get any sleep.
Well, to be honest, the couch downstairs might be more comfortable than that bed.
No. We're going to take care of it. We got, dude, it's a 5,000 square foot house. We'll find room. Okay. Jeez. All right. You can sleep with me, Olivia.
I was going to say
sleep.
the dog crate's big enough.
How about Leeroy sleeps with me? I'm fine with a grown man sleeping in my bed.
I'll go sleep downstairs in Hayden's room.
I can rub my fingers through your chest hair. We'll make a thing of it.
All right. Moving on.
Goodness.
New segment. We'll talk about it in a second. We'll be right back.
The Dumb Store is veteran-owned with a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction. We offer quality products like coffee, shirts, hoodies, and hats, all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUMB10 to save 10%. Visit thedumbshow.com today. Thank you for your support.
So, a sad day. If you go over to thedumbnews.com.
I read that today. That was a very good article.
Thank you. You go over to thedumbnews.com and there's an ode to Gene Hackman. I love Gene Hackman. First thing I ever saw him, I saw The French Connection later, but one of my favorite movies is The Package, and it's a sleeper for Gene Hackman. It's got Tommy Lee Jones in it. Gene Hackman. It's about an assassination. And as you guys know, I'm kind of big on the attempted assassinations of a president, and this is an interesting one called The Package. If you haven't seen it, it's good. It's a good watch. But of course, Crimson Tide, of course, the Royal Tenenbaums, Unforgiven. Hey, Payal is a subscriber over on Facebook. Thank you for subscribing. You're now part of the Dumb Nation over there. $1.99 a month. We really don't do anything. We just all talk to each other over there and post shit. So hopefully that's worth $1.99. If not, yeah. So, you know, I love Crimson Tide. I'm a big Gene Hackman fan. I think he is a fantastic, fantastic actor. But my first movie I ever saw with Gene Hackman was Superman as Lex Luthor. But the funny thing is I really liked Lex Luthor as a kid. And even though he was horrible, but Warren Beatty and Hackman, the relationship that they had was just incredible. Liv, first movie you remember seeing with Gene Hackman in it? The dog's just like, I think she's sad that the dog, Gene Hackman's dog, died. Liv, the first movie you saw with Gene Hackman?
To be honest, I can't remember.
A movie you like with Gene Hackman, Liv? This is why I just go right to Leeroy.
Yeah. The one with Denzel Washington.
Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Crimson Tide.
Also the one with Will Smith. I like that one too.
Yeah, that was
Enemy of the State. Yeah, Enemy of the State.
That one
Totally
was good.
far-fetched, but yes, good. Leeroy.
You know, the first thing I can recall seeing him in, I think, was Superman. I think that was just the appropriate time. I was 8 years old when that first came out, right? But the movies, and for whatever reason, he has always really played a military type cat so well. And when you think about the laundry list of films that he had to his credits that were like that, you're talking Behind Enemy Lines, Crimson Tide, Enemy of the State. Does anyone remember Uncommon Valor or Bat 21? Those were all just really awesome movies.
Hoosiers. Somebody just said Hoosiers.
Hoosiers is one of my favorite movies. Dennis Hopper, Gene Hackman. Yep, Mississippi Burning was great. Here, we can watch all the movies right here, and then we'll talk a little bit about his passing, which is very intriguing. I'm already interested. Here is the video.
Hold it! Then take me!
Yeah. Remember
Oh,
that?
I remember this one.
Get them through!
ship flipped over?
Yep.
Yep, that's probably the first one I saw.
There's
him
one
with.
surefire rule that I have learned in this business is that I don't know anything about human nature. I don't know anything about curiosity. That's not part of what I do. This is my business.
Don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners. Okay?
Where you belong. Boy, go! And you get this straight, shit kicker. Don't you go mistaking me for some whole other body. You got your brains in your dick if you think we're just gonna fade away. We're gonna be here till this thing's finished. How about you, Deputy?
That gun just for show.
Them whores are gonna tell different lies than you. And when their lies ain't the same as your lies, well, I ain't gonna hurt no woman. I'm gonna hurt you.
God, he could deliver a line.
Not gentle like before, but bad.
Hey, Zim don't ask for dick. Zim tells you the way it is, or else.
Or else what?
Or else use your fucking imagination.
He's a man. They're both men.
Can't be.
I didn't realize he was in this.
No, Kevin,
Yeah.
Kevin. This is a man.
What?
So,
this. I watched an interview. If I can interject something real quick. I watched this interview of him where he talked about like his evolution of his roles as he kind of progressed through Hollywood, and all of his earlier work were these action adventure, very militaristic, like we were talking about, but the ones that were the hardest for him were comedy. He spoke to the difficulty of comedy because there was something with the timing, and he felt that was like his greatest challenge, and I thought that was so interesting.
I have been watching this. It is interesting, and he comes off like he reminds me of my father, just Marine. But there's a lot of everyone was fairly convinced that this was carbon monoxide. Even I didn't make any predictions, or I'm not about that. I fog of war. Let's wait until the official record. Same thing with Heath Ledger when that happened.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about this is that when the police came out and did their conference today, they are not ruling out foul play at this point. They did it first. They said there was no evidence of foul play, and of course everybody went right to carbon monoxide. Dog, wife, husband, age difference between him and his wife, almost 30 years.
Right.
The
dog was still locked up in the cage.
In a room, is my understanding, in a closed room. And one other dog was running around the property, still alive. So there's a lot of stuff that have come. I'm going to show you another video. This is a newscast. And
Who found the bodies?
I'm going to tell you all that.
Okay.
That's why we got to wait for the video. No, just wait for the video. Wait for the video. That way we can all learn together.
His wife, and they say the gas company has been helping them with their investigation. That is a sign that authorities could suspect that carbon monoxide poisoning is to blame. Hackman's daughter, Elizabeth, tells TMZ she believes it was carbon monoxide fumes inside the home that killed the couple and their dog. TMZ is reporting that Gene Hackman and his wife, 64-year-old Betsy Arakawa, were dead for at least a day before their bodies were found. Sheriff's deputies entered the Hackman home yesterday afternoon. A neighbor had called authorities to ask them to check on the couple's welfare. According to a search warrant obtained by TMZ, a Santa Fe detective believes the deaths to be suspicious. That search warrant says the front door of the house was left open, the heater inside had been moved, an open pill bottle was found inside the home, and pills were found scattered next to Hackman's wife's body. Now, to look back at Gene Hackman's career. He was born in San Bernardino. He grew up in Illinois. He served in the Marines, but it wasn't until he was in his 30s that he moved here to Southern California to pursue.
All right. So now there's even more, right? So the bodies obviously were suffering from rigor mortis, which is the natural process of no blood flow in the body. Body stiffens, muscles become hard without the flow of blood. But they are saying that it's been so long that mummification was taking.
There was some level of decomposition, yeah.
No. Decomposition was qualified. Mummification, which is very different than decomposition.
How long have they been dead?
That's a good question. Now, it's a very arid environment in New Mexico. It's very, very dry, especially during the winter times in the late months. You remember. I mean, there's no humidity, which can also assist and speed up a natural mummification process, which is the preservation and the opposite of decomposition. So there was decomposition, but they were seeing some signs of mummification. I don't mean to be graphic. The other things they found is that both bodies suffered a large fall. So from standing position to literally falling over. Now, you would see this with bruising and hemorrhaging. You would see this with, blood or cuts or abrasions.
I'm wondering where they were found in their house.
They were both found in 2 separate bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
He was found, like I said, in a fallen position. She was found in a similar position next to a space heater with pills found in that area. The dog had died also. Now, you got to ask yourself a question. Like, what? Now, if you saw Gene Hackman, you wouldn't recognize him. Like,
he's 95 years old. Yeah.
No. I recognize my father. I recognize my grandfather. I'm talking, there is absolutely zero opportunity to recognize Gene Hackman from what he used to look like. And I mean nothing. Like rail hair down to the middle of his back, face. I mean, he looked nothing. Yeah, I understand he's 95, but he didn't look anything like he was. So he was obviously in a hospice type care, and she was watching and caring for him. There was a caretaker that found them, supposedly, who from the outside could see at least one of their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're also saying that there was possible forced entry because the door was open. This was later. So as long as a month or possibly even longer is what they're anticipating they've been dead. They hadn't been seen together in public since April of 23.
Well, what a horrible caregiver.
Hold on a second. Caretaker of the property, Livy, of the property, and checks in on them. So if that person checked in, that's because that's what they asked of them. Maybe they did groceries and went into town. Maybe they cleaned certain things. I don't know. We have a housekeeper that comes in every 3 months. So what a horrible people we are. So my point is, I don't know. But they're now saying that they're not ruling out some sort of foul play. At least just not ruling it. But they got a warrant, went in, started doing the investigation, and now it's an open investigation of what they don't know. I would assume it's Santa Fe. It's cold. It's natural gas in Santa Fe. We've from Albuquerque and Santa Fe. So we know there's no doubt in my mind that if they had space heaters too, that they probably were trying to keep the house warm. You hope it's not a butane space heater because that can create asphyxiation. A lot of it's speculation and nobody knows. But anyway, the point is that the recent picture I saw of him, which I can't seem to find now, it just doesn't look like him. And like you said, he's 95. I would expect that. But he looks like somebody just got out of Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Michelle just said, well, the daughter had talked to him. Just wondering how long ago the daughter talked to him.
Right. That's what we have to find out. Because mummification doesn't take place in a day. doesn't take place in 24 hours. And the caretaker hadn't been there since February sometime, or January of sometime, is my understanding. So it has been like 33 days or something to that effect. So let him do the investigation. Autopsy will say a lot. Did she have pills in her system? And they both fell. She was 63. That's correct. So there's but for both people to fall and die of the same thing. Now, is it possible that they were, because when you suffer from carbon monoxide poisoning, you simply fall asleep. You don't necessarily just fall where you're standing. A lot of people just go lay down or whatever, in a
feel
chair.
sleepy.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I can't wait to hear what happens because I'm interested. But it's a shame nonetheless. And he was an amazing actor. Still a Marine, always will be a Marine. And, it's...
Yeah. And he was one of those kind of guys where a common trend in Hollywood these days is for everyone who's in Hollywood to make it known where they stand within the political spectrum, right?
Right.
And whether or not that turns off half of your audience or somehow you're able to rally all of that, next thing you know, you'd have, thousands of new viewers or thousands that you may have lost because of a political stance. Gene Hackman was one of those kind of guys who, once he decided to get out of the game, get out of acting, you still never knew. Like, he never used his platform to try and push anything. And I always liked that about them. So there's something about Hollywood where, look, you have to admit, you are there to entertain us. We can love you. We can love your performance. We feel like we understand you because your job as an actor is to throw emotion up on the screen, and people fall in love with that. It's not like anybody really, I didn't know him personally. I loved his movies. I loved what he did, the memories that he brought back from my childhood, that kind of thing. So I really, the fact that he stayed quiet about that was just one of those things that actually makes me like him that much more.
Yeah. It's my understanding that one of the dogs survived and one dog was out on the property. Who cares? The point is that, asphyxiation or carbon monoxide poisoning, it happens more rapidly in people with upper respiratory issues or older, are more susceptible to it, so it's possible. Listen, we don't know. We could sit here and pretend like we know. We don't know. What we know is that he lived a full life, and it doesn't fucking matter because he left a legacy that will never end, and good for him. It's sad that his wife, who was a classic pianist and an amazing musician, died at 63, but she loved him, and it just shows that marriage is a commitment that's forever, or until at least one of you kick the bucket. Liv, any thoughts?
It's sad, but yeah, I'm very curious as to what happened.
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out. Maybe in the media, you're going to find out, right? So, do I think it's foul play? No, I really don't. It just sounds to me like what you would expect, especially in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We'll be right back. We're 217.13 is where we're at on goal, folks. It is 9:00 as of now, and we have not hit it yet. You guys always like to make me wait and stew, so here's your favorite 1-minute commercial.
Dumb Show was built on real conversations, raw, unfiltered, and fearless. Big tech didn't like that. Facebook pulled our funding, tried to shut us down. But for over a year, you, our incredible viewers, have kept us going. Your support, your donations, your time, it all matters. Most of you spend 10+ hours a week with us. Compare that to Netflix, maybe 5 hours a month. We believe we're worth that time, and we hope you do too. But listen, we don't want giving to feel like a burden. We want it to feel good. So take a second to ensure you're in a good spot. If you're in a place to give, amazing. If not, just liking and sharing helps us more than you know. Visit thedumbshow.com/donate. Whether it's PayPal, Venmo, or mail, every bit helps keep us going. Dumb Nation, we appreciate you more than words can say.
I'll change the music. You're right. It's a little too. We need something a little heavier.
Yeah, throw some Metallica back there. Yeah.
Something. There's the doggy. Sleeping.
Aww.
Out like a light right next to us. This is where she's at 99% of the time, spending time with Dad. She sleeps right there. We've tried to put a bigger bed. She doesn't like it. She likes it.
Well, something tells me that once Yenny and Ash are best friends, is Ash is going to sleep on Yenny's bed. Yenny's going to sleep on Ash's bed. That's usually
correct.
Usually what happens.
Holy shit, I'm tired.
Yeah,
James Comey admitted some stuff. Here it is. We're going to power through these next time. Hopefully get some folks. If you're waiting on donations to make me suffer, please don't. Just let's rock and roll. It's been a lot of overtime. Here it is.
It's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. The protocol, 2 men that all of us have perhaps increased appreciation for over the last 2 years. And in both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over. And so we placed a call to Flynn, said, hey, we're sending a couple guys over. Hope you'll talk to them. He said, sure. Nobody else was there. They interviewed him in a conference room at the White House Situation Room, and he lied to them. And that's what he's now pled guilty to.
What did he think they were coming over there for?
I don't think he knew. No, we didn't tell him. Just said, sending over a couple of agents. I want to ask you some questions. I didn't have this conversation. My deputy director did. But hope you got a few minutes you can sit down and talk to them. And he said, sure.
I think there was a movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Sean Connery called Entrapment that sums up what that sounds like.
You're going to have to explain that in layman's terms.
He basically sent the FBI against protocol into the White House to perform an investigation with no bearing, with no legal counsel, with nothing. And that's why you notify the White House counsel, so you don't self-incriminate, and got General Flynn to essentially be dishonest, not knowing what it was about. Now, Flynn lied, that's fine, but you should have your counsel present when talking to the FBI. You have that right as an American. And he circumvented protocol. He circumvented the Constitution of the United States, and he entrapped him. That alone is an open admission, like Burisma, of, fire the son of a bitch, or you're not going to get the $1 billion that Joe Biden did. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Leeroy,
yeah.
Thoughts on that?
I was a little, you're going to have to forgive me, because I was listening to what he was saying, and I was like, wait, where is this leading? Where is this coming from? And so when I went ahead and Googled it really quick, I'm not sure that we were talking about the same thing, because one of the first returns that I got that came back was there was some sort of a honeypot kind of sting operation going on, where there was this entrapment thing going on, where they were sending female agents in specifically to infiltrate Donald Trump's campaign.
Oh, that's that you can go and find there's a shit ton of stuff. The guy that they went after, God, I can't remember. It's been so long. This is back in 2016. They infiltrated his campaign, and they spied on him, and I don't remember why. I can't remember his name. Somebody will remember. But there's a shit ton of that. I mean, from the wiretaps, from infiltrating. Oh, it's bad. But this is what they specifically did when Trump was in office, and they pulled General Flynn, and brought him in for questioning, or went into the White House, which is against protocol, and didn't afford him an attorney or anything else, which was also entrapment.
I mean, and as I read that, right, the general vibe from what he was saying right there was that so an investigation was happening, but with no real what, you didn't have any evidence to base this investigation on, but it was a taxpayer funded investigation with no evidence. So does that sound like it was politically motivated?
Right.
That would have been my first questions.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously politically motivated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta love the government, man. When Matt and I talk about like how much we distrust the government, it's because of crap like this. It's because somebody who has an agenda and has a monicum of power, and they're in the right place at the right time behind a 3-letter agency wall, says, hey, let's go and do this and see if we can't entrap somebody, or if we can't, plant enough evidence, or you find more and more of this kind of thing out later, and you're like, no wonder more people don't trust the government, because when this kind of thing comes out, that should be your immediate thought, like how slimy of them to try and pull this kind of crap.
The person I was thinking of was Carter Page, I believe. So,
okay.
But they did multiple things. I just figured I would show you quickly something that pissed me off. And of course, I'm not a big fan of, I don't know what's going on over on Facebook, but holy shit. It is, where are we at now? 27,000 what?
563.
20, what?
227,564 now.
We're going to hit 230 in the first 3 months of this year. That is incredible.
We love you guys.
But you understand it's 120,000 followers this year if we keep it up. That's amazing. Stop licking my feet. Jeez, dog.
Well, you asked me to.
Yeah, I'm just saying. You can do whatever you want. Here are two quick ones, folks, and then we're going to get out of here. Donations are dried up, folks. This might be the night, because we're not going to be here for more than another 10 minutes. So if you have not donated to the show yet, it'll be the first time we haven't hit our goal in Donut Friendly history since we started taking them, and that's almost been a year. So it's usually the time I tell you, but we're running a little shy tonight. Here is a video of something I'm going to try to explain to you, the upside down flags, and I figured I'd give our British cohorts some attention here as they make an accusation that the Union Jack, the old Britain flag, is flown upside down. How the fuck can you tell? Here it is.
You can't.
You can.
I don't know how much we should read into this, Mark, but the Union flag, I can tell you, is currently flying upside down on Blair House. This clearly is a mistake. The Blair House is the presidential guest house. It's right here opposite the White House. It's where Keir Starmer stayed last night. It's where all world leaders stay when they come to visit the president. And it always flies the flag of the host of the nation that's visiting. Well, as you know, it can easily be flown upside down by accident. Only an eagle-eyed person would spot it, but it's upside down. A sign of distress? I don't know. I don't know how much we should read into this, Mark, but
I think you do know, and I don't think you should read into it at all, but you are.
Right.
So you guys tell me. I'm going to show you some variant degrees.
Okay.
Is this the right way? Don't look it up, Leeroy, you cheating bastard.
I'm not looking. I don't have my. Jeez. Don't
start. Why are you getting so touchy?
Watch yourself.
Yeah. So is this the right way or the wrong way?
Sure.
Right way or the wrong way?
Let me ask
correct.
Charles. I have no idea.
You guys are both saying correct?
Yeah.
What about if you're hanging it vertical?
That
is
totally
this
right? If you're
is
Austin
this the
Powers.
Is this the right way or the wrong way? Okay.
Saying no.
I'm going to say sure.
How about?
That looks the same, but okay.
No, it's got to do with the thickness of those lines.
Okay, so is this the right way or the wrong way? Let's find out. Are we excited? We should be. It most assuredly was the wrong way.
Okay.
If you look at the bottom left
Okay, the
line.
thickness of the lines.
It's not the thickness, it's the position of the lines. They are
I thought we were
flipped.
talking girth. No?
Okay. Can we take this seriously, please? This is really important to our English people across the pond.
Fucking Brits.
Who
Sorry.
cares?
Mind the gap. Yeah.
Your flag upside down does not mean what our flag upside down means. You know what it means? It means you guys lost in 1776 and go fuck yourselves. Okay? Nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares. You guys are you're gonna be Muslim anyway. It's gonna be a fucking green flag with a cross sabers, a moon, and a star. Okay? It's not even gonna be England anymore. So just give it 10 years and you guys will all be speaking Farsi and you'll be, beating your women and it'll be fine.
Kafias and yeah.
Yeah. Can we get a pic of the feet licking? No,
Debbie's
Debbie.
got in the session with feet.
I gotta admit, I gotta have a foot fetish, but I'm not this open about it. I kind of keep it.
You're a closeted foot fetish kind of guy. I get it.
I think I am. Like when you come over, you'll know. So,
Okay.
Anyway, folks, there we are with the F block, and now we are going out of F and into overtime. I don't think we're going to hit goal. I think we're going to miss it. I don't know if we're going to hit it. So we're just going to have, you know what? We're going to plug it through.
500 people on? How is that even possible? Folks, if you like what you're seeing, throw us a bone.
Some people don't.
We're not going to beg. Please
Some people don't want to.
So the concept was
some people
I'm
don't give
sitting with
money,
the
and
president.
I understand. I don't want everyone to feel it's not always about
Leeroy,
money.
you might have to show your tatas.
Yeah. This is an interesting video. Now, this is something we're in overtime. So, this is Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. What are you doing? Why?
Because she's probably pissing off the dog.
Why is it always Yeti doing something wrong there, cutie? How do you like your new Nikes? They were too small, weren't they?
No, they're great.
Hayden got her first pair of Nikes. I said I would never buy her a pair because they're communist China, but she's like, everybody has them and people think we're poor.
I did
I'm
not
like,
say that.
Yes, you did. Get out of here. So I tried to give her Under Armours, and she's like, oh, no. I'm like, Under Armours are the best. They're so much better than Nike.
I wanted Converse.
Converse are going to break down. Just get out of the room. Just leave. Just leave. Love you. Anyway, they're cute. They're nice shoes. She's happy.
I didn't see them.
So you should. They're great. So this is probably one of the best ideas I've ever heard for the census. Do you guys know how much money we spend on the census? Someone take a guess. Don't look it up on Google. Take a guess.
5.6 billion.
Jeez, that's kind of specific, don't you think? Go ahead.
But I'm going to say 2.5 billion.
No. So we're gonna say higher. Go ahead.
Higher than mine?
Let me give you some help. There's 20,000 Social Security workers who work on the census. Now, how much do you think it is?
15 billion.
Oh, that's okay. 15 billion. Leeroy?
I'll go 19.
19 billion.
Which makes me think of, wait, the last two censuses, it's all been by mail. So it's not like, I remember my mom doing it in 1990 and she went door to door, but
it's not all by mail. It's mail if you are registered to vote. But if you're not registered, they have to physically go out and collect.
Got it.
So 20,000 Social Security workers. You said 19 million, Leroy. Leroy is the closest. Olivia, go. You get the next guess.
25 bill.
Leroy.
23.
You are, Olivia is closer. Olivia, you get the next guess.
Okay, am hot?
If it's going up and you just beat him, he said 23, you said 25. It's obviously up, honey.
27.
Oh my God. Leroy, go.
I feel like I'm on the Price is Right.
I know.
Just fucking do it, dude.
29 billion.
Okay, it's a lot more than 29.
50.
Lower.
35.
Leroy. Higher. Leroy.
41.
40 billion. That's ding, ding, ding. We got a winner.
Chicken dinner.
40 billion. Chicken dinner. So listen to this idea.
You did not get the car, Olivia. Just so that you know.
Howard Lutnick. She actually has the car. Howard Lutnick came up with an amazing idea. Here it is. Take a listen. I mean, this is incredible. You don't hear government ideas like this. It's actually ridiculously good. Listen to this.
I'm sitting with the president, And the costs of the post office are like it loses $7 billion. And he said, can you do something with it? And I said, sure. So I saw him the next day, he goes, okay, what do you got? You know, he gives me the whole 24 hours to figure it out. And I said, well, the Commerce Department does the census. And we spend $40 billion every 10 years doing the census. And that means we hire 625,000 people. And they go and they rent cars and gas and you pay them food. And you know what they do? They go to every household in America and count the people. What department do we already have that already employs 625,000 people? It's got cars, already has gas, goes to every household. Can you imagine saying to your postman, can you count the people in the house? What day could he do the census? Monday? Could he double check it on Tuesday? How about Wednesday? He goes every day. So we can only save $40 billion or $4 billion a year, and we'll do a better job. And you know what else we can do with the post office? They can go to your house when you have a baby and give you the form for Social Security. And the 20,000 Social Security offices that we have, we just don't need them. We actually can do real customer service. Go right to your house. Someone died, here's the forms, you can fill it out. I'll bring them to your house. Customer service, why? Because we've got those people. Let's use the assets of the government to make us better and save us money. We can be smart, you know, we're loud.
Wow, that dude's pretty cool.
Is that
I
not
like him.
is that the
That's
greatest
like the
video you've
best
ever
idea
seen?
ever.
I mean, I'm like, wait a sec, I need to check my pulse. I'm like,
Wait
fucking
a
heart
second.
attack.
That's amazing.
a fantastic
Think
idea.
about what he's saying, right? Because just as a general rule, the post office, what they're doing is somebody drops a letter in the mail, right? And they take that said information with a stamp and they take it to your house, right? So they're already conveying something. That why not open that street up? Thank you very much, Bobby. Leeroy needs to sing. I can sing, actually. I'm really good at it. They're already in a customer service type role. So you're already in the situation where there's information being exchanged there. So substitute, instead of mail one day, the census or anything else that the state might need to give, or the city. That's amazing. I love that guy.
And here's another thought. A lot of people are friends with their mail person. I mean, when we were at Red Rocks and I worked at Red Rocks, I talked to our mail guy all the time. He was really freaking cool. I mean, some people have a relationship. We get a freaking Christmas card from our mail person, our mail lady, every year. So, I mean, they already have relationships with the customers and with people. So, I mean, who are you going to be more prone to give information to? Somebody you already know and have somewhat of a relationship with, or a complete and total freaking stranger that you have no idea and they're asking all these personal questions?
Sandra's like, of course, our negative Nancy's are here. God darn it. When was the last time a postman or woman came to your door? That's the ever-loving fucking point.
About 2 months ago, and we had a package that wouldn't fit on our post.
They still deliver the mail. All they would have to do is for their requirement for, a week or two in your area is to knock doors and hand deliver your mail and say thank you. Get it, Leeroy.
Thank you, Mel. 3655. We love you.
You're the best. We've hit it. We love it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, listen, is it a perfect idea? No, it's not perfect yet, but it's a hell of a lot better to save $40 billion.
Right.
Let me ask you another question. Why can't it be a collective effort? Why does it just have to be the Postal Service? Why can't it be UPS? Why can't it be Uber? Why can't it be Lyft?
Amazon.
Why can't it be Amazon? Literally, when you're signing for your package, why can't they say, listen, we want to have a voluntary census question? And maybe it doesn't have to be every 10 years. Maybe they just say, hey, if you go ahead and offer this, we'll go ahead and make sure your next shipping is free. But the government can help subsidize that. And I guarantee it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than spending $40 billion. Listen, we just need to get innovative. This is like, do you know how much we spend on elections every 4 years?
Right.
I thought,
do you know how much an election costs? I mean, seriously, do you want to know how much it costs?
Like
I have
billion?
to imagine that is in upwards of close to $100 billion.
It's close to $100 billion, like $97, $98 billion the last election. And this costs the states a lot of money. Why not do it by electronics? Apple has never been hacked. Throw it in the iCloud. I don't trust it. But you trust some fucking computer that gives you a green light and you scan it into a fax machine that looks like the Whopper computer from War Games? Paul Rivera says, can't be a part of not hitting goal. Great stuff tonight. Strong work, guys and gals.
I
Thank
always
you, Paul.
thought the census was voluntary. My mom did it in the 1990 census, and it was all voluntary. I don't remember her getting paid. Now, I could ask, but I do remember her doing it.
Yeah. Postal Reorganization Act of 1971 made the USPS quasi-private. Doesn't matter. You vote on it. You make a proposition. You make an amendment. Listen, this is the problem, is that there's always reason why we say, oh, no, we can't do it. I don't give a shit. The government knows. I mean, who cares about a bill from 1971? You don't think the government knows where you live? You don't think they know where you are at every minute of the fucking day? You've got you got 75 tracking devices in your house. Give me a break.
Or and we just watched the Terminal List, and he's like, your cell phone is technically a tracking device that occasionally makes phone calls.
Yeah, and that you occasionally use text for. It's a listening device. It's a camera. It's everything. It's got everything it needs. Here's my thought. It's just like, can we just start getting innovative? How about that? Can we start thinking differently? I don't care if it's restructured. Mike, I get it. There's always reasons to say no. It's the same reason with the gun control debate, right? It's the same reasons with hardening schools. Oh, well, I don't want my school to be a prison. Okay, so you want it to be a fucking death camp? Who was it? Brian Murray? How much?
It was
$21.10.
Yes.
Thank you, Brian Murray. Now that's a new one, right, Brian?
No, he has.
Whatever, Brian. That was a new donation. Thanks, buddy. You've never donated before. So I'm all for new ideas. Like, do we truly need, with Space Force, do we need NASA?
It's a good question.
No.
They do serve mildly different functions as far as I can tell.
Yes,
but
yes,
but there's no reason they can't be combined, then made efficient, then slimmed down. There's no reason they can't do that.
And NASA is the study of space, and Space Force is a defense and protection. There's very big differences. But do we need to have 14 different rocket companies working in conjuncture together? No.
Right.
No,
you don't.
SpaceX, I honestly thinks it should be privatized.
But it is privatized. Space travel is privatized, but it's also government. There should be a government run. Holy shit, Ashley Gleason, thanks for sharing the facts, y'all. You're awesome. So my point is this: is you have to ask yourself the question: do we need the Coast Guard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can the Navy do the job?
With tweaks, probably.
Yeah, guarantee they can do the job. They can do it better. They got better vehicles, better ships. There's no reason. We already have great dive crew. Do we need a Coast Guard? Well, you do, because it's a maritime operation versus military and the Navy. Would you need to make some tweaks? Could the Coast Guard be absolved by the Navy? And could you limit the amount of money spent in the Coast Guard having an autonomous unit? Go ahead, Leeroy.
Well, they serve very different functions, and certainly there's an element of the law enforcement that the Navy cannot do that the Coast Guard can.
That's right, maritime law.
To that end, the Coast Guard does generally operate smaller vessels, while the Navy is really used for power projection, right? The Coast Guard is really, it's a coastal force. That's what it's for. So could the Navy do it? Yeah, probably, but with some tweaks. That's just the way it is.
And I'm aware that they serve a different purpose, just like the Army Air Corps served a different purpose than the Air Force. I get it. I'm asking a question, though. Do we need the Coast Guard?
Right. And it's that line of questioning that needs to be applied in several different problem sets, right, that could potentially make things maybe more efficient. Maybe the Navy and the Coast Guard combination doesn't work here, but what about in another area? That's what Trump is trying to do with this administration, is to say, all right, where can we combine maybe a few things here or tweak things here? Where can we combine forces to maybe ease some of that burden on the taxpayer so that we don't have to raise as much off of the backs of taxpayers? I get that.
Let me ask you this question then. Do we need INS? Do we need Border Patrol? Do we need ICE? Do we need all three of those companies, or is there a way, and Department of Homeland Security when it comes to the border, can we put these companies together and reduce their size and their overall footprint?
Why can't you put ICE under the Department of Homeland Security?
Good questions. So there are questions that we should. Do we need the ATF anymore?
Right. Is that another one that can be rolled up into the Department of Homeland Security?
Alcohol and tobacco.
What they're doing.
Alcohol and tobacco. Nobody gives a fuck about bootlegging and smuggling cigarettes over state lines. It really comes down to firearms, and the only thing they do is restrict the Second Amendment. So do we need the ATF?
No.
No, because they're not supposed to be restricting the Second Amendment. So fuck the ATF. Get rid of them. So we have to start asking ourselves a question: do we truly need these programs? And this redundancy that we have. If you don't think there's redundancy, go work in the Pentagon for a week. I worked in the Pentagon for 9 fucking months, and I will tell you, there is so much redundancy. I can't. Most of the time, most people were standing around with thumbs up their asses until you got into the wings that were where the real work took place. But we have to start asking ourselves the questions. Do we need these multiple redundancies? Do we really need 1.5 million people in the United States government doing roles?
Probably not.
No, we don't.
True.
So let's start cutting. Now, I know what the Coast Guard does. Coast Guard's incredible. And I know a bunch of Navy guys that don't want to go up to Kodiak. Okay? I get it.
One of them.
I'm one of them too. I have no desire. I like my testicles unfrozen. But we have to ask ourselves the question, is there certain branches of the military that can do jobs better than the others? Because we asked this question with the Army Air Corps. And it's why we created the Air Force. And honestly, the Army wasn't very fucking good at flying. That's just the truth. So their overall role was air support. Very good at it. But the Air Force was needed for air superiority and air dominance from an attack and fighter standpoint and bombing standpoint, something the Army wasn't very good at. $2.30 from Ronnie Ford, Semper Supra.
It's funny you mentioned. I was watching something the other day that suggested that was the whole reason the Marines and the Army have why they operate almost exclusively nothing but close support helicopters, because that's their function. They're the ones who operate all of the Bells and the Vipers and the Apaches and all of that crap.
That's why the Air Cav changed.
That's because they supply the close-in air support while the Air Force does air dominance. Even though they kind of, sort of, you would think that they do a little bit of the same thing, they really don't. So there's some argument to be had up there.
And there's a reason why the Marines got the AV-8B is because nobody else fucking wanted it. Because that thing's a fucking death trap. Different MOS in the Navy to carry out Coast Guard duties. No, I didn't ask you. See, Paul, that's not what I asked. I asked, do we need them? I didn't ask them if there were certain things standing in the way of making them necessary to have. That's what I'm talking about. We need to ask the question, why does the Navy have a different MOS than the Coast Guard? When we have more naval bases along our coastline than Coast Guard bases. When we are in a better position to defend from a further standpoint out than the Coast Guard is. That we have better systems. We have better quick reaction force than they do. Is there a way that the United States Navy could effectively do what the Coast Guard does under the Department of the Navy? Because if you don't believe that we're good at it, just ask the United States Marines who they're under. If I'm not mistaken, that's Department of the Navy. We need to start asking questions. That's it. Last minute. Go, Leeroy.
Great show. We covered a lot today. We covered the JFK effect, the Epstein The Epstein Nothing Burger, the binders that are full of empty pages as far as we know. Caroline Levitt getting kicked off of CNN. Gene Hackman. God, I loved him. And then we also ducked into a little bit with Comey and then the Census. Great show, Olivia. It was really good to see you. I think it's been a little while since we've been able to share the screen together, so this was fun. Sorry that we talk so much, but I'm only partly sorry because really I'm not that sorry. Matt, it was good to see you.
Sorry, not sorry.
And Mel, just because the Coast Guard cohabitates with the United States Navy, it doesn't mean that the Coast Guard doesn't have a standalone basis, because they do. That's not my point. My point is, do we need the Coast Guard? And we should be asking that with every single branch of every single department in the government. Do we need this? And if we don't, who can absolve the duties? Who can absorb the duties? Here's a question. This is something I completely disagree with. Do we need the Air Force, since the Navy can do the same thing? The Navy cannot do the same thing. Navy doesn't have bombers, dude. Navy doesn't have bombers. Could they? No. Because where are you going to launch them from?
Very different functions there.
Yeah, it's not. You know, the Doolittles and taking B-25s off the B-25 Mitchells off the deck of an aircraft carrier here. You ain't gonna get a fucking B-2B off of an aircraft carrier. You're not gonna get a B-25, B-52 off of an aircraft carrier. I don't care how much you strip that fucker down.
Probably just gonna.
It's gonna go in. It's gonna become a submarine. It's gonna. All right, Liv. You get to say final because you were a star tonight. You handled all the boards. We had a shit ton of people on. Folks, we only had 176 likes with 452 people on right now. Just spam the like button on Twitter, follow, whatever you do, please make sure. Liv, you get a minute.
Well, it was good to see you, Leeroy. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Oh, God, it's going to be great. Can't wait.
Text us your flight info. We got to figure out who's going to pick you up from the airport.
Yeah.
And then, need to know when you're coming in for that one.
Uber.
And Uber. Do you know how expensive that's going to? Are you coming into Dulles? Or are you coming
He's coming into Dulles. I made him book Dulles.
That's going to be freaking expensive Uber. I took an Uber home from work one day, which was 7 minutes away, and it cost me $15. We're not doing that.
I'll just walk around the airport going, "Do you know who I am?"
Listen, Mello, they're probably going to pick you up. They're going to be like, "Oh shit, what's he doing in town?" Mel says, "That's my point. Coast Guard could be absorbed 109%. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. All right, folks, listen, God bless you. We're going to be back tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Can't wait to see you. Thank you for your donations. Thanks for taking care of us. Thanks for being awesome. See you for Red Friday. Make sure you wear your red. Good night. God bless. And also, if you have been around the show for a while, we have some credits here. Your name might show up for somebody who's helped the show. We certainly appreciate you. Love you. Leroy, thanks for everything. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 7. Good night.
Peace out, homie. Love you guys.
See ya.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.